With this video, let's begin looking into ChatGPT. It was released, as you can see on Wikipedia, November 30th, 2022. I got on it early in December and started researching and following it. So I'm always on top of this for you. And whenever something cool and new comes up, I try to add it to the course. And this really generated a lot of attention because there have been other AI, artificial intelligence, chatbots and software, but they have not been as good. This particular one is noteworthy because it's tremendously good and it has many applications in your writing, like blogging, like customer support, and many other things. So let's read together exactly what it is. So chat generative pre-trained transformer, see, generative pre-trained transformer, that's what GPT is a chatbot developed by OpenAI. We're going to go there in a second and sign up. So chatbot is built on top of AI's GPT family of large language models and fine-tuned with both supervised and reinforced learning techniques. So let's actually go there to OpenAI and sign up and begin using it to see how it will be useful for you. Here I am on openai.com. This is the company that created ChatGPT. Right here, they have a prompt, ChatGPT. You see, they have other things they made, but this particular release of this ChatGPT, that's exciting. So let's try it. So we're going to chat.openai.com and they want us to log in or create an account. Of course, we're going to sign up and create an account. You can create an email-based account or just sign up with Google, which is easier to do. So I'll just sign up with Google. Yes. And it pulls my name. So yes, that's my name, Alex Gnedinik. You enter your phone number just so that it sends you a two-step verification. You click send code. It's going to send you the code. After you enter the code, it's going to think a little bit. And it took me a little while for the system to get to the next page, maybe because there's just a lot of use for it and a lot of load on their servers because this is a very popular tool. But we get here, so let's look at it together. You see, right now, this is free. It may not stay free forever, and it's projected to not be free forever because right now it's in beta. And when things are in beta, they change frequently. So if anything changes, if it becomes not free, please send me a private message so I can jump in and update the video for you and give you other options. Because if they change anything, it's not like they email me and say, hey, Alex, we've changed, so please update your course. I only find out about it when people let me know or the next time I log in. So if you see any changes, please let me know. So just be aware that the reason you are getting it for free is because they need to collect feedback from users like you and I on how people are planning and how people are using this tool. And very importantly, while there are safeguards in place, right here, the system may occasionally generate incorrect or misleading or offensive information. So just forgive it because it's not like a person is replying. It's really a software that's replying to you. So now that we understand this, let's press next. They also want you to be aware that any conversation may be reviewed by human reviewers. And they also want you to be aware that you should not share any sensitive private information, like passwords or anything else that's private. So having looked at that, let's click next. Now they also tell you that they have a community where you can give feedback and they have a Discord server. You can click on it. It's basically like a chat area. You can accept the invite. They give you a little prompt. You close it. And you see there's a chat going on. If you've never used Discord, it takes a little bit of getting used to it, but basically it's just chat. We're not here for this chat. This is chat with people, with other users. But let's get back to our setup process here and say done. Once you've said done, you can start using this software. Before you start using it, they want you to know a few things about it. The kinds of examples that they have pre-made for you, what it can do and what it cannot do. Like we already covered, it may not always have the right information or accurate information. It may occasionally give harmful instructions, and it has a limited knowledge of a world and events after 2021. But the interesting things that it can do is that it can remember what you've said earlier in the conversation and allows you to even correct it, right? So now that we're all set up, in the next video, let's try to use this software. Now let's actually begin using ChatGPT and see, first of all, if it makes sense to us. Like if we ask it reasonable questions, like what is considered freezing weather? It's factual. We can type it here on the bottom. What is considered freezing weather? And we'll just say yes, and we'll see what it says. And you see it's writing as it goes. Now let's read it together to see if it makes sense. Freezing weather is generally considered to be weather that has an air temperature of 32 Fahrenheit or 0 Celsius or below. This is the temperature at which water freezes and turns into ice. So this, if you were to ask me, I would not be able to give you such a precise answer. This is much better than a human, unless you're a chemist or a scientist and you work with this all the time. However, the actual definition of freezing weather can vary depending on the context and specific conditions being referred to. Interesting. Now it's getting subjective a little bit, which is really fascinating. For example, some people may consider any temperature below 50 to be freezing, right? Because people use that as a common figure of speech. Oh my God, it's freezing, but it's not technically freezing. While others may consider temperatures below 20 to be freezing. Ultimately, what is considered freezing weather is largely a matter of personal perception and can be influenced by factors such as wind, chill, humidity. Cool. So this is a very broad, great answer. Far better than any person I know could say, because this gave a technical, scientific answer. It gave a subjective, humorous answer. And it also gave other contexts, right? Because we're not living in a vacuum. We're not living in a box or a tube, in a scientific lab. We're living in the real world where weather and how things feel to us depend on wind chill, humidity, and amount of time a person is exposed to the cold. Amazing, right? Very detailed answer. Now, this is weather, and you can probably fetch content like this from something like Wikipedia. But let's give it a complicated question and see what it does. Let's say, what is beauty? This is a question that's never been precisely answered in philosophy. Many philosophers tried, starting from Socrates 2,500 years ago, but no single answer has been universally satisfying. What is beauty? Let's ask and see what happens. So I'm going to just search here, and it's going to think a little bit. Let's read it together. I'm excited. Beauty is a complex and multifaceted concept that can be difficult to define. Yeah, of course. In general, beauty refers to the qualities that are pleasing or attractive to the senses, especially to the eye. This is debatable, by the way, because you can have beautiful feelings. People can be beautiful because maybe they're inspiring, not because they're good looking. So this is actually where this can be philosophically challenged, right? But this is hard. And of course, we know beauty is inside of you, right? Those kind of nice things to say and think. But let's keep going. These qualities can include physical features such as facial features, body proportions, skin texture, as well as more abstract qualities such as symmetry, balance, and proportion. So it's talking about people being beautiful, but what about music being beautiful? So it's a little limited so far. Beauty can also refer to qualities that are pleasing to other senses. Oh, now it's interesting, right? Such as pleasing aroma or soothing sound. Okay. Although soothing sound is not the same beauty as, you might say, a song that really touches your heart. Not with its sound, but maybe a song like Bob Dylan's poetry. Like some of it might actually touch your heart and give you a feeling of catharsis, which kind of changes how you feel and changes your emotion. Right now, we're just talking about soothing sound. Again, maybe it will get more complex in a second, but this is at a sophisticated enough level that it's good, but it's not a sophisticated enough level that it's world class. Although the more logical answer about the freezing weather, I felt it was satisfactory. Although I'm not a scientist, I have read a lot of philosophy, so I know about beauty a little more than the average person, so I can challenge this AI bot a little more on that topic. Let's see what's next. In addition to physical qualities, beauty is also associated with inner qualities. Okay. Such as kindness, intelligence, and compassion. Okay, now you're getting interesting, right? This is just what I was kind of talking about. Some people may find inner beauty to be more important than physical beauty. and may value qualities such as person's character and personality over their appearance. Okay, so that's just exactly what I mentioned. So this thing is smart. Although, when I read it, it reads a little bit like a textbook. This is the first thing, this is the second thing, this is the third thing. It doesn't read conversationally yet. Maybe it will do that. It reads very professionally, but it doesn't read like it has a unique voice, which a human would. So let's just read the last paragraph here. It's important to note that beauty is a subjective concept, and what one person finds beautiful may not be the same as what someone else finds beautiful. Beauty is often culturally and socially constructed, and what is considered beautiful can vary widely from one culture to another. Now, there is more to say on this topic, a lot more to say on the topic of beauty. So all in all, this is a really good answer. You could, of course, go deeper into the topic of beauty, but right now we only have 3 paragraphs, and for 3 paragraphs, this is quite a nice and balanced answer with multiple viewpoints. Does it have all the viewpoints? Not really. Does it go deep into any? Not yet. But let's see something interesting. What if you try to use this for a blog, let's say, and somebody else tries to use it for a blog? Well, then you have duplicate content, right? Not really, because if you regenerate a response, it will write it differently. So let's try that together. Regenerate response. Let's read it. Beauty is a complex and subjective concept that can be difficult to define. It is often used to describe qualities that are pleasing or attractive to the senses, such as beautiful person, a beautiful landscape, or a beautiful piece of music. Beauty can also be a matter of personal taste and individual preference. So you see, it's not duplicate content. You can keep regenerating. And so what does that do? If you want to have 100 blog posts today about some topic, well, you've got it. Of course, you can't just copy and paste. You have to add photos to your blogs, maybe a video embed, maybe you will hyperlink to some other blog posts. So you have to edit it, and you have to use your own unique voice. And if you're going to, let's say, add it to your blog post, so in the next video, let's look at how we would proofread this text and how we could possibly improve it. In this video, let's begin proofreading the text we generated with ChatGPT. Well, let's look at the steps of proofreading. First, you would look at the grammar. Grammar here is really nice. This thing is good at grammar. Next thing, does it make sense? Yes, it makes sense. Next question you would ask, does it help the reader? Yes, it does. Next question you would ask, does it have its own unique individual flair? Or you might ask, if you're blogging, let's say, you want to resonate with your reader, you want to use interesting language, you want to have quirks, right? Add the humanity, add your own little humor, your own little insights, your own little jokes, your own little ironies. This doesn't have that. So it's an 85% top quality blog if you copy and paste this into your blog. Granted, if you add hyperlinks, photos, videos to supplement the text, but this is already quite acceptable. What you have to do in the editing is add your own quirks. Maybe a joke here and there. Maybe an example that only you have. The example you have might be, you might have gone to Italy, to Florence, and you might have seen the statue of David in person. It might have stirred you emotionally, and from that might have followed a lot of personal, deeply emotional experiences, because that is a really emotionally evoking sculpture. And this comes from you, and this is how you connect with your reader. You want to be more than a textbook. If you want to inspire a passionate audience, if you just want to use your blog posts for lead generation, you don't need to inspire. But although, of course, it might be great to inspire, but people get the information, they take the next steps. That's fine. But let's say you have a passion project. For example, for me, I have a passion project. I have music, so it's touched by a song. And I have a blog that I write without AI. And in this blog, there's one post about Bob Dylan. So in the next video, let's compare how I wrote that blog post, and I chose it specifically because I wrote about it from a place of passion. I wasn't trying to make money. There's no ads on it. I don't sell anything. I just loved that one song by Bob Dylan. I thought the poetry in it was mind-blowing, and I was really just fascinated by it. And so that's the place from which I wrote the blog post. And we're going to compare that to how ChatGPT would write about the same topic. And then we're going to look at how, well, what are the pros and cons of each, and how can we use the pros of each to combine so that the eventual post can be better than just artificial intelligence writing and just human. But the combination of them can be tremendous. And that's what we're going to explore in the next video. In this video, let's compare, for proofreading purposes, a question I may ask the software ChatGPT about something subjective, and we'll compare it to a blog post that I wrote on that topic, where in that particular blog post, I brought a lot of passion to it. And the blog post is on my music website. It's a blog about Mr. Tambourine Man, which is a song by Bob Dylan. And so let's click on that. And you see in my blog, I have an embedded video, and I go through that particular song lyrics and I give a lot of analysis. So we can copy the title of this post and we can add it to our chatbot AI here and see what it says. And maybe we can just rephrase the title like, so we'll ask, provide a lyric and poetry analysis for Mr. Tambourine Man song by Bob Dylan. Let's see how it does it. Okay, it gave us a lot. We already know it's going to have good grammar. We already know that it's going to make sense. At least that's the assumption. What we want is, does it have the human flavor, the human element? Because if we're writing something about something we're passionate about, this is where we really resonate with our readers. And so we want to see whether this can match that. Mr. Tambourine Man is a song written by Bob Dylan and recorded by him and his band in 1965. The song was released as the lead single from the album Bringing It All Back Home and became one of Dylan's most popular and influential songs. The song has a dreamy... Okay, now this is the analysis. This is just not analysis. This is just the information, details about it. The analysis is, the song has a dreamy, ethereal quality to it, with Dylan singing in a surreal, almost hypnotic style over a simple folk rock style guitar melody. That's actually what drew me to it originally too, is that the lyrics were so dreamy and the performance added to it that personally as a listener, when I was listening to it, I was like, wow, this song is taking me to a different world. So this kind of resonates with me. Yes, I agree. That was sort of close to how I would describe it. Then we would continue. The lyrics are enigmatic and open to interpretation. They are enigmatic and they are open to interpretation, but I think there are some more or less accurate intended interpretations by the artist. With Dylan singing about a mysterious magical figure called Mr. Tambourine Man. Again, there's a lot of theory about who this Mr. Tambourine Man is. It's actually about another musician that Dylan knew, whatever, who appears in his dreams to help him escape from the mundane realities of everyday life. Honestly, okay, this is a song about drugs. I'm not a fan of drugs personally, but the way this song is done is it's so dreamy and beautiful. It makes it look so amazing. But let's keep reading, because actually this right now is worse than what I wrote. And I'll show you in a second what I wrote. One possible interpretation of lyrics is that the tambourine man represents the power of imagination and creativity to transport a person to a different place and state of mind. The lyrics suggest that the tambourine man is able to take the speaker away from boredom and pain of his everyday life and transport him to a place where he can forget about the troubles, forget about all his cares. Another interpretation is tambourine man is spiritual or transcendent force that can keep the speaker finding life purpose in life. This is actually not a common interpretation. So I just happen to have been a fan of the song and have spent a lot of time reading posts about it, making my own videos and posts about it. So I'm not an expert in this, obviously, but I know more than the average person, and I have yet to really see these interpretations. So yes, when a song is very vague and poetic, you can say it's about the meaning of life, and you kind of are always right? But it's also kind of wrong because, it's just random fluff. Here's what this song is really about. And we can look at my blog post. I'll start with the main meaning of this song. This song is about escapism of drugs. It portrays the escapism of drugs in one of the most beautiful ways in all of poetry, songwriting, and literature. But near the end of the song, there is a sudden change with the following lyric. And let's read the lyric together because it's pretty poetry. And take me disappearing through the smoke rings of my mind. As I'm saying this, picture the images, smoke rings of my mind. That's what good poetry does, is it creates images in our mind that we can see. And take me disappearing through the smoke rings of my mind, down the foggy ruins of time. Picture that. That's a trip. This line by itself, second line, is a trip on its own. Down the foggy ruins of time. If you start picturing that, you're in a different world. Far past the frozen leaves, the haunted, frightened trees, out to the windy beach. And look at this next line. Far from the twisted reach of crazy sorrow. The twisted reach of crazy sorrow? Imagine in your life when you've had crazy sorrow. And imagine that crazy sorrow had a twisted reach. You keep getting away from it. It keeps finding you. Yeah? And this is the escapism of drugs, right? Take me disappearing down the smoke rings of my mind, down the foggy ruins of time, through all these things, far past the frozen leaves, the haunted frozen trees, out to the windy beach, to a beautiful place, far from the twisted reach of crazy sorrow. This is how the song ends. It's beautiful until we know why the person is doing the drugs, and we feel compassion, like we feel for them, we feel for ourselves, because we can all know, even though in daily life we're all like, we are strong, we are never in sorrow. Everyone's been in sorrow, right? It's human. That line, woo, to end it like that, right? And this is where I wouldn't write about it and I wouldn't put a focus on it. And there's a lot to this post, but I just don't want to make this video super long. If you'd like to get more into the song, it's on YouTube, Mr. Tambourine Man by Bob Dylan. Listen to it a bunch of times. Listen to the lyrics if you want to. Come here, read the blog post. I would love to hear your take on it. But you see, my point here is that the AI, it doesn't feel, it can't have a human element that resonates. But you see, if this appealed to you on a human level, like you're like, you know, maybe I've done, not drugs, but any vice you have, right, is a little bit of escapism from the daily grind, the daily challenges, and everyone has daily challenges. And let's say I saw this in this song, and let's say you saw in this song, and we connect on that superhuman level, the sensitive human level, the one that isn't sort of present in everyday life, because everyday life is so stressful, but is always there underneath, and you actually really cherish and value it. If that's you, and if that's me, and if we connect on that level on this blog post, then oh my God, this is what makes writing not only good, but this is what gives writing a point, so that you don't write just for SEO purposes and lead generation, but you write to create something amazing for other people to share. Just like you might be if you're cooking a wonderful dish that you want for people to share and enjoy. So you see, I wanted to show you the limitation of ChatGPT. It will be probably at the 80 or 85% good about just about everything, but it will never be amazing on a human level. And you want to connect, and if you want to build an audience, a real audience who engage, you want to write passionately. Less perhaps, but you want the quality of the writing to be tremendous. If you want to just crank out 100 blog posts in one day, you could do that. You could do that. And this is the power of ChatGPT. You can create 100, 200, 1,000 blog posts about Bob Dylan, every element of a song. What's his most popular song? What's the second most popular song? What are the analysis of each? What are the pros and cons of each? There's a million topics, and you can have them all on your blog overnight, essentially. And it will be pretty good, but it will never be great. Now, how to make it great? While you're editing this, go through it and add human elements to it. And one argument can be, well, if you do that, why don't you just write from scratch? And that's a valid argument. But the best post, the best post is when you take all these factual things that, as a regular person, it's not like I have this in my memory, like when this was released and what album this was on and how he recorded it and all the details. I just don't have all that in my memory at any single time. So the blog post I write, it's good because it's written by a human, but it's also bad because it's written by a human. I just don't have all these details in my memory. But now that you would have all these details and you have yours, the merge of these would be not just amazing, but it would be the best blog post on a topic. So what's my recommendation? My recommendation is, if you want to write something amazing, like truly amazing, that you can maybe want to have sections of a book and you want to take a bunch of blog posts. They're basically sections of a book if you want to write a book. Now, if you want to write something tremendous, write as a human first and then see what the AI might add. And then when you're editing, make your final draft the compilation of these two. And then you'll have something better than AI can make and something better than a human with feelings and emotions can even make. So that's how you use Chatbot GPT for multiple purposes. If you just want to crank out a ton of content, you can do that. It will still be good. But if you want to crank out less content, but the level will be tremendously amazing, then you spend more time editing and making sure that it has the best of both worlds. In this video, I want to show you how this artificial intelligence can write sales copy for you, basically creating landing pages and sales pages without having to write anything yourself. And by the way, you can, of course, offer this as a service to others because other people don't know that AI is doing it for you. And this AI is doing it much better than some human copywriters do. So look at this dialogue I had with this artificial intelligence. I said, write a sales page for a business plan book. Of course, it's a vague question. And it actually asked me a question to clarify. It asked me, are you looking for a sales page for a specific business plan book or a hypothetical business plan book? And I gave it my book. The book, I have a business plan book that I wrote. It's on Amazon. And I already have a description for it. Right here, if you click read more, there's a description. Okay, it's one that I wrote. It's detailed. It has a bunch of sections, etc. I worked a lot on it, obviously, because I'm trying to sell the book. On the other hand, I'm not perfect and I can always use ideas. So if I click here, you see I gave it the link. That's all I gave it. And then it fetched the link and then it said, sure, here's a sample page for a business plan book you provided. And then it literally wrote a new description for me. Now, should I just copy and paste it? No, because I already have one that I've worked on hard. But what I should do is read it carefully and see if there are any elements here that I think are better than my current description. And if there are, then of course I'll edit my current description to include the good points made here. And of course, as the author, I know the intricacies of my book. So this description did not ultimately come out in a way that I think is better significantly in parts than my own. But let's say you're doing this for a client, copywriting for a client, and you don't know the intricacies of the book either. This level of copy ends up being very good. Let's read it together just so you can see the quality. Welcome to this ultimate guide to creating a winning business plan. I think that's kind of good. Starting a business plan can be overwhelming, yes, but having a solid plan in place is essential for success, yes. That's where our business plan book comes in. This copy is actually decent copy. For some people's tastes, they might even say it's better than the copy that I currently have. I don't quite think so, but maybe I'll warm up to it because, you're always biased towards things you wrote on your own. But maybe somebody unbiased might say, hey, this is way better than yours. And I won't bore you by reading the whole thing, but I wanted to show you that the copy here is well written. It is good. Like it's written at a intermediate or advanced level if you consider a person not really knowing the intricacies of the book. Like this AI never actually read the book. It doesn't know what's inside. It doesn't know the intentions, the reasons, the differentiations of this book with other books. So it had to go kind of on surface information, but with the information it had, it did a tremendous job. So if you're looking for help with your own sales copywriting for your own landing pages, or you want to sell this as an additional service to your clients or the main service to your clients, boom, you have a business. Not only you have a business, but it takes like 5 seconds to actually create this content. Whereas if I had written this exactly on my own, it would take me 15 minutes because I would have to write it, then I would have to edit it, and I have to look it over and over. Then I might need a break because it's kind of like mentally intense work. And because I'm a human, I would make some errors. I would have to catch anyway, 15 minutes, perhaps maybe even an understatement. So imagine you charge for this, whatever you charge, but you're literally spending a few seconds on it, or maybe a couple of minutes because you have to read it yourself as well. But just a couple of minutes compared to 15 or 20 minutes. So that makes it a very profitable service to upsell, just like all the writing services that include AI, because you no longer have to do the writing and you have to do very little proofreading and editing. So you're spending 1/10 of the time, but charging exactly what you would charge per hour or per project usually. Let's start the course with something very simple, a service that almost anyone can do that you can make up to 6 figures a year or more. And you'll laugh because it's dog walking, dog sitting, home sitting, pet sitting, that kind of business. But give me a second and I'll explain to you exactly how to do it. So there's a website called rover.com. It's in North America, maybe in Canada, maybe in Europe. It's not everywhere in the world, and it doesn't matter if it's not operational where you are. It's just a good option for those places to get clients for, dog sitting, dog walking, all those kinds of things, doggy daycare. And these are things that almost anyone can provide who likes animals. Now, Rover is not the only way you can promote this service. Most people search Google for this kind of service. For example, I just searched dog walking in New York, and people do the search in every city of the world. So no matter where you are, this is a need. Well, in maybe, let's say, 99% of places. And you may or may not run ads like here. It's optional. But you can post your service on a Google map like this through google.com/business. You can register there. It's free. And you can show up on this map. Then you can create a website. You see Rover also shows up here. And you can also sign up on these websites like care.com and yelp.com, which are local directories. And of course, Rover, Google search, Yelp, ads, and eventually word of mouth referrals and social media, of course. Those are all fantastic marketing strategies to get you to dominate or at least be one of the dominant dog walkers in your area. Now, when I said, how do you make 6 figures from this business? Let me explain now. Now that you understand how to promote this, how do you turn this into a big business that's also, by the way, passive income? So at first, it's not passive. At first, you'd be the one who's doing the work, the dog walking. But what you really want to be doing is building up your marketing so that when people are researching dog walking, they're finding you in the ad, on Yelp, in these listings. You see, you have to be the one who's the most prominent one. Once you dominate this in your city, you do this very same process for the city next to you. And then once you dominate that city, you do that same process for the city next to you. So instead of New York, I would say maybe Queens, because right here it shows me Manhattan, a little bit of a piece of Manhattan. So then you go to Queens, Brooklyn, Bronx, whatever, every city next to you, right? Maybe you go to Long Island, which is kind of like the next thing over from New York City, and so on and so on. And then once you start dominating these large geographies, these large areas, you'll have so many clients that you'll need to hire staff of dog walkers and dog sitters. You're not going to be doing the work anymore of actually dog walking, dog sitting. You can, but actually your time will be better spent to just do the marketing, hiring well, and making sure that all the clients are happy, doing customer support and doing new marketing so that you start to dominate new and new geographies. So when you dominate new and new geographies and hire well, hiring is going to become a very big and very important aspect of your business because you want your other dog walkers to be amazing. You don't want customers to complain because then you lose customers. You want customers to be thrilled. So getting the best dog walkers, paying them well, and then taking a cut of every dog walk that's happening because you're referring these clients, that's going to be how you turn this business into a 6-figure. And you know what? Sky's the limit. This can be a 7-figure business eventually. It just depends on you dominating these geographies in the way that I explained. And by the way, this doesn't have to apply only to dog walking. Any kind of a mobile service where you don't need an office, mobile haircuts, mobile car cleaning, when you come to people's homes, home cleaning. There are dozens of services that you can provide, just like this very simple dog walking, which was an example, but there are dozens of services that maybe lawn care, gardening, or something like that, which work in exactly the same way. You can start promoting them very early, like let's say on day 1 or week 1 or month 1, and grow steady and grow into other geographies and hire people under you. And instead of a one-person side business, you'd really create this into a multi-employee business. So that's how you provide a regular service, nothing innovative, nothing too crazy, maybe even like a service that doesn't seem cool. Like other people would say, dog walking, like I don't want to do that, or that's lame, or whatever. Like I wouldn't say it's lame, but some people might think, well, it's not the coolest business in the world, right? But at the same time, it's cool to make a lot of money. So that's a perfect example how you can take almost anything that seems like it's not money making and actually do really well with it, and eventually even turn that into a passive income situation, or semi-passive, almost passive. It's never going to be 100% passive, but certainly it's passive when you hire an employee, they do the work, and you just sit at home and collect a part of their revenue. I want to introduce you guys to a pretty cool site. You can make money by renting out your car. Yeah, like you can really rent out your car. These guys, as you can see, have an app. And basically, you list your car. They're not available in all areas, so you have to check if they're available in your areas, but it's getaround.com. You basically list your car, and other people will rent it from you and pay you, right? So here are some car listings that you can rent. You can see their listings, and you can make up to, they advertise you can make up to $10,000 a year, which wouldn't be very bad. Of course, depending on your car and depending on your area, this would differ, but certainly worth taking a look into it if you're not afraid of renting out your car. And you can get insurance and all that kind of stuff. So, but they do promote themselves as, you make extra income by renting out your car. So if you have a car to rent out that you're not afraid to rent out to strangers, this can be a pretty easy way to make money. In this video, I want to introduce to you a site like prosper.com, where this is where individuals like you and I can give out loans to other individuals who are trying to loan some money. Otherwise, they would be loaning money from a bank. Most banks say no, so individuals with different credit ratings go to a site like Prosper and crowdsource. Let's say they need a $100,000 loan. They take $1,000 from you, $1,000 from somebody else, $500 from somebody else, and so on, and they get to their full amount. Now, there is some risk involved here because obviously the person borrowing money from you can default on this. But overall, it's generally safe because, first of all, a lot of people do it successfully already. You see there's $17 million borrowed, they claim. And if most lenders were losing money, this model just wouldn't work for them. So you can trust their shared experience, but do know there is some risk, but you can make your money work for you here at times better than the stock market. At different times, they've shown the average return is 6%. My friend and colleague, Nick Loper, who also helps people identify ways to make money online, has tried this for himself. And even though I don't use it, I trust him. And he said some select loans that he gave out earned him 10%, which you'd be lucky to get that in the stock market. Obviously in the stock market, people dream about earning thousands of percent return, but most people would be lucky to get a 10% return overall across their entire portfolio. That's considered a win. And so that's what you can do also in this case with arguably less risk. Who knows, maybe equal risk, but it's simpler. and it's accessible to everyone. It doesn't require trading or stock market knowledge skills. So what you would do is you would go and you invest, and you just go and get started and see if it's for you. Obviously, it's not available in every country in the world. There's a lot of restrictions. You'll have to see. But if you have money that you can invest that's laying around, you can make your money work for you by earning you more money through a site like Prosper. There are other microloan sites like Kiva.org and similar ones, but I chose this one because from my understanding, it's the easiest to use and get started for most consumer level people. Like, we would be not experts in this field, so this site will be one of the better ones, one of the simpler ones for us. Of course, you can Google for micro lending sites and you can see there's dozens of them. Some are less, some are more reputable, some specialize in different things. But this one I feel is a good starting point because it's general enough, it's simple enough, and it's trustworthy enough to get started. Obviously, remember, there's risk, but anytime you make your money work for you, there is risk. In that scenario where your money works for you, you can't avoid risk entirely, but this is one of the safer and more reputable places to make your money work for you. In this video, let's talk about a very easy way to make money online, and that's through taking online polls. Now, you're not going to make a lot of money with this, but anyone can do this. There's nearly no restrictions and you can get started on day one. Are you going to become rich doing this? No. But can you do this almost anywhere from your phone? Yes. In a line, in a store, grocery store, while waiting for your doctor's appointment. If you have time to waste, well, now you should not waste it. You should maybe do this. It's going to make a tiny bit. Don't look for this to make a lot of money, but look for it to actually make you a little. So the first and perhaps the most reputable and known company in this space is iPoll. You can, by the way, sign up through their web interface like I'm showing you, but they also have, as you see on the bottom of the screen, Android and Apple apps, so you can do this on the go, which is what I would recommend actually, because when you're in front of a computer, you probably have better things to do, but maybe when you're out, when you have a little bit, quote unquote, time to kill, this is perfect for that. You would sign up, and once you fill out your profile, they'll send you appropriate surveys and polls, and then they'll pay you for it. Very little, but at the same time, better than what you're making now if you're making zero. That's iPoll. A second company in this space, which is almost similar, is Swagbucks. It's also been around for a while. You also just kind of earn points by doing little things like filling out surveys and filling out little things they send you. You get a little cash for this. These sites, they kind of work somewhat similarly. Another site that's similar is The Opinion. It's basically very same thing. Companies pay you to fill out different surveys, questionnaires, test things. It's very simple. They explain it here. Sign up, take surveys, get paid. Couldn't be simpler than that. So that's theopinion.com. Very similarly, opinionoutpost.com. Very same thing. So at this point, you may be getting lost, like which company should I sign up for? Try one or two, see how it works for you. If you're getting paid too little, move on, try the next one. Likely for wherever you are in the world, for your profile, different surveys and needs will come up. And somewhere it's a little less, somewhere it's a little more lucrative. So one of these sites will work a little better than others for you. So then you would just try them all. This is a no pressure strategy. You can kind of do it on your own time, really. And we can just go down the list. You see inboxdollars.com, very similar idea. Earn cash, taking survey, playing online games, shopping online. Very basic, simple things. You do simple tasks, you get paid very little, which is commensurate with the amount of work you do. So it's easy and you make little. And lastly, we have Survey Junkie. Same idea. Sign up, take surveys, get paid a little bit. So these are some very good options for you to, on day one, to begin attempting to make money with these. As long as your expectations are moderate, you'll probably be relatively happy with them. In this video, I want to give you an affiliate marketing introduction. It's a very popular topic these days. A lot of people ask about it. A lot of people are very confused by it. So hopefully in this video, I'll totally deconfuse it and outline some ways you can actually get started with it if you want to, if it sounds appealing for you. So at the root of it, really, it's not new. It's basically selling products of other companies for a commission. And this has been around before the web. The reason it's popular on the web is because the web has created a lot of digital products, and digital products can give you a big commission because For physical products, there's just not a lot of extra room there to give a large commission. So like Amazon, which sells physical products, for example, gives on average between 5% and 9% commission. And that's relatively small because for a digital product, the creator of the product, the cost to them to reproduce another and another and another is zero. Just copying a digital product is zero. They can give a 50% commission, 75% commission. So the commissions are tremendously more attractive online for digital products than for physical products, but you can still resell both. And now let's walk through some of the very popular sites where you can find thousands upon thousands of products. Some of them have various requirements like a website or something else. Some have no requirements. So if you're interested in this, try to apply to all of them, see where you get stuck and see which ones allow you to enter. Any of the ones we'll go over will have thousands of products for you to choose from to sell. The first such site is cj.com, formerly Commission Junction. This has a lot of reputable companies that you can promote. Amazon Associates program is basically something you can sign up on the Amazon site. If you scroll to the bottom of their site, they have their Amazon Associates affiliate program link, and you can go through the steps of registering for that if you want to sell Amazon products. Clickbank.com is something a lot of people have heard of. This is only for digital products, and they have very few requirements for getting accepted to this site. Also, shareasale.com has a little bit more reputable brands, and jvzoo.com is very similar to ClickBank. Now, the challenge isn't really to get the products to sell, because obviously there's a lot of companies who want you to resell their products. The challenge is promoting the products. That's where it's really hard. The common ways to promote the products are obviously from YouTube, from creating content on your own website and driving people to buy the affiliate product. You can also participate in different forums and communities, and from there post some affiliate links, not in a spammy way, but maybe if it's in a helpful way, if your link is actually for something that actually helps people there. And of course, you want to be careful of ads. A lot of people online recommend, they say, oh, you just run Facebook ads and you'll make a lot of money. But the Facebook ads, to get good traffic, it's not that cheap, and a lot of people lose money by running ads. So I'm very conservative about recommending ads, actually, because I don't want people to just go out and plow into this and just lose money. So I'd say be careful about running ads. And of course, the whole other part of this is, on the one hand, you can just have an affiliate marketing business where maybe you have some kind of website, get traffic to the website, and the whole purpose of this website is to get people to click on your affiliate links and buy something so you get a commission. But there's another way of doing this, and that's actually something that I actually do. I sell a lot of my own products, but there are some instances where I cannot sell my own products. For example, some of my clients need a website, and I cannot sell them website hosting or website design. I just don't do that. So I promote affiliate products and services that can help them with that. So it helps my clients, and it helps me because I get a commission. So I use it to fill the gaps in my business as a part of my business, as a secondary strategy to make money. So affiliate marketing can work both ways, as a number one priority of making money and as a secondary way to make extra income from scenarios where otherwise you wouldn't be able to sell to your clients. So that's effectively affiliate marketing. A lot of people online make it out like it's easy to do, but the hard part about it is promoting the products. 95%, 98% of the people who are new to this, they get stuck in the promotion part because it's really not easy to sell. In this video, I want to go over the nice things about affiliate marketing because it can be a really great business. I believe in it, I do it, and I've seen it work really well. I don't want to say that it's easy, but it is potentially good. You don't need to create any products. What does that mean? You don't have to manage your inventory. You don't have to provide customer support. You don't have to ship products. You don't have to do a whole bunch of things that almost all other businesses need to do. Not to mention, you need to spend $0 to get into this business. It's free to start. You can have a website. You don't even need a website because you can start promoting it from like YouTube or something. So you literally can start on day one for free without having your own products. And that is unique to affiliate marketing. That is amazing. Like, it's really rare. So the products are readily available in all fields of life, in all niches. You just have to choose the ones you want to promote. And you can do all of this starting on day one. Most people don't succeed on day one. Obviously, it takes some experience with everything, but you can start on day one, which you cannot say about almost any other business. Even starting a blog, I mean, you still need to put up a website, which takes for some people a little bit of time. So if you need to make money ASAP now, this can be a good option. But really, what I actually would recommend, how I'd recommend looking at it, is actually not looking at it as a way to make a quick buck necessarily, but ultimately to figure out how you're going to promote it in more or less automated ways, like maybe SEO or YouTube, or some way that you just put out the marketing and you just keep getting traffic to it so that it becomes passive income. Because when your traffic is automated and you're able to sell these products that you don't have to support, don't have to create, this can become one of the more truly passive incomes that you hear people talking about it long term. Once you perfect all the moving parts of this business, you can actually start not just making a little bit of money, but making more and more and more money, and hands off. This is not a get rich quick sort of scheme. Before you get to a significant amount of revenue, there's still going to be some serious work to be done, but it is possible. There are many websites which aggregate and collect affiliate products you can resell. In fact, Amazon is the biggest affiliate aggregator. You can sign up to be an Amazon affiliate and resell almost any product sold on Amazon, which is millions and millions of products. In fact, if you're on the homepage here, all you really have to do is scroll down and it says become an affiliate. Now, the problem with Amazon is that they give relatively small commission rates. You see up to 10%. That means less, because they sell physical goods. Physical goods tend to have smaller commission rates than digital goods. But an even bigger challenge for some people is that not everyone is eligible. When you apply, you see here, join, they have some requirements. For example, one of the things that holds people back is that you need a website, they say. And there are some other things that they require from you. If you don't have a website, you can join sites like ClickBank or JVZoo. Let me talk about ClickBank for a little bit. A lot of people are already familiar with ClickBank. It's an aggregator of affiliate offers. There's plenty of digital affiliate offers giving large commissions. They don't require you to have a website, but they do have a large list of countries that are not allowed. I'll show you that in a second. To understand how this site works, people like you and I, like small business owners, can post our products to be sold there. On Amazon, that's also true, but on Amazon, there's also a lot of reputable big brands that sell there. Here, there's less of that. There's fewer reputable big brands. There are a lot of small-time people, which means they often create low-quality products you don't want to promote. So you have to try the products yourself to see, are you promoting something to your audience? You don't want to embarrass yourself or lose trust by promoting something subpar. There's a lot of that going on here. So you got to be very careful when selecting products. And of course, not everybody can join, because here's an article which lists all the countries that are not allowed. There's about 50 countries. Here's the list, restricted countries: Afghanistan, Angola, Bangladesh, and I don't see India on this list, although I have had some students from India complain that India is also banned now from the list of countries. If you live in one of the countries that is listed here, don't worry, there's another option. This is JVZoo. It's like a number 2 of ClickBank. Basically, same thing as ClickBank, but slightly worse. Less products, a little bit less of everything, less quality, but they don't require you to have a website. They take people from anywhere in the world, from any country. So if you're really struggling, this is where you go to sign up for affiliate programs that you can then resell. And you can sign up here on day one. They will let you sign up. On day one, most products that you promote here do not have a complex set of requirements. You have to apply to promote some products, but most of them will just allow you to do that. And again, most of the products sold here are not great products. They're just okay. So be careful selecting products, but at the same time, anyone can get products on day one from this site, and then begin to resell them to begin to try to make affiliate revenue. And once you become good at selling your affiliate products, this is one of the businesses that is known to be work from home, passive income, all those good things long term. With this video, let's begin our section of the course on how to make money selling books. You might think, well, I don't want to write. I don't know how to write. Well, this is going to be for people who like to write. And even if you don't like to write, or even if you don't want to write, in the coming videos, I'll be showing you how you can write books by optimizing and outsourcing parts or all of book creation. So don't worry about the book creation, which is usually what prevents people from having books. Part of book creation is talking to a voice recorder and a transcriber and then having the book edited. And then once you have it edited, you'll be able to sell your book on Amazon. Right away, it will be on the paperback and Kindle, Apple Books, Google Play, Fiverr.com. I even sell my Kindle books on Etsy, believe it or not. Not many people know that you can sell it on Etsy. So that's what we'll cover in the coming videos, how to get into selling books for anyone. Because self-publishing is a very accessible field now thanks to Amazon. And even though people are reading fewer and fewer books, they're still reading a lot of books. And there's a plateau in the decrease of readership. So it's not like you're going to become a billionaire with books, no. But at the same time, it's still a very good way to make passive income, where you only have to create the book and then you sell it on Amazon, you sell it on all these sites. The sites do a lot of the work for you. So it's still a fantastic way to make money online passively. So with that, let's get started digging into all the strategies. With this video, I want to explain to you how to repurpose your content like an absolute pro and create one piece of content and end up with YouTube videos, books that you're going to write, blogs that you're going to write, a podcast perhaps, with one piece of content. How? Well, you can create a 5-minute, let's say, for example, just a short, relatively short 5-minute YouTube video. And if you don't want to get into videos, you can just record your voice and use a software that transcribes your voice into text. But videos are generally kind of king because videos have audio. The audio can be taken and transcribed into text. So I know we're talking about books now, but at some point in this course, we're also going to be talking about video courses, YouTube. So this is all inclusive. These are going to be strategies you can use for videos, video courses, blogs, books, everything. So let's start at this highest level. Let's say you do make YouTube videos, where, remember, you don't have to make YouTube videos, but let's say you do. Well, what do? You take the transcription, edit it, and turn that into a blog post. So now you have a YouTube video and a blog post for each video. But each such little piece of content, each such blog post can become a subchapter in your book and can also become a podcast episode because you can take the audio and extract the audio and make that into a podcast episode. You don't have to have a podcast. There's nobody saying make a podcast. But if you'd like to have a podcast in your niche on the same topic, it just is going to expose you to a wider audience because otherwise you would not be able to get in front of that wide podcasting audience. But now, because you're creating that video, you easily can have that podcast content to post. And then as you'll make this bite-sized blog, YouTube, that content, you're going to use it to draw YouTube traffic and Google SEO traffic. And from that Google SEO traffic and from that YouTube traffic, you will sell your book on Amazon and course on your site or on Udemy or wherever. Now, of course, there's going to be editing. A blog post isn't going to be a perfect subchapter. So there's going to be a little editing here and there. Generally, you can edit this on your own or you can hire editors depending on if you want to write or not. But this is a good way to not write at all, just talk your ideas into a voice recorder or film them for a video and end up with a lot of content to build up your brand and content that you can then sell, like books and courses you can sell. And this is relatively common. If you think like, do celebrities write books? A lot of celebrities seem to have books these days. Are they writers? Not really. They just have somebody record what they say, professionally edit it, and outsource all the work. So this is a relatively common process. You can hire editors and book cover creators and all kinds of freelancers to help you on sites like Fiverr.com and Upwork.com. There's no shortage of relatively good services for that. And you'll only end up going at the speed you want depending on level of your effort that you put into it or how much budget you want to put into the outsourcing of it. But these are pretty tried and true methods to get a lot of blog posts out there and a book out there and perhaps multiple books out there and perhaps a course through repurposing content this way. In this video, I want to talk to you about creating thin or low content book. Now, I know if you're familiar with the SEO, search engine optimization industry, you know thin content is bad. But for books, thin content is actually 100% legitimate and they are in-demand books. So in this video, I'm going to give you ideas for these books. And in the next video, I'm actually just going to show you what they are so there's no confusion. So what can they be? There's a huge variety of these kinds of books. For example, journals. You don't write the journals. The buyer writes the journals. You just provide a book essentially with empty pages, right? And there can be many kinds of journals. Journals for creative writing, journals for addiction recovery. People keep dream journals. People keep workout journals, idea journals, and many other journals. Especially there's a lot of journals in industry-specific niches, whatever your niche may be. There's also like food journal, travel journal, art journal, reading journals, and there's so many more types. It's nearly endless. People keep diaries. People have notebooks. This is for school. This is a different kind of low content book, but they have, the math paper notebooks like the grid. You don't put any math formulas in there. All you provide is that grid paper. Same thing. What if you want to provide just grid music paper, just sheet paper with just the staff paper, right? Again, you just create it once and copy it over and over, and you're not the one who provides the content, the buyer does. And there's all kinds of different notebooks that you can create. You can create blank cookbooks. This is something that people have, like maybe family recipe, where people create their own cookbooks. So you don't create the cookbooks. It's essentially this idea. And I'll just give you a few more ideas for these kinds of books. You can create calendars. Now there's an unlimited number of types of calendars. Like you just create the photos, but there's only like 12 photos. And you don't even have to create the photos. You just have to find royalty-free, high-quality images you can use online. Or if you're a photographer, you can create the images and you can have calendars on a million different themes, like calendar for Italy, calendar for nature, calendar for storms, calendar for animals, or just horses. So there's a million themes for potential calendars, which represents a lot of niches. And by the way, you can make 100 or 1,000 different calendars and sell them all under your account. Sure, they'll all be niche, but at the same time, there's extremely little work to them. So if each one sells a little bit, together they'll sell a lot. You can also create address books or phone books. These are less popular today because they're replaced with digital phone books and address books, but at the same time, a lot of people still keep paper and pen address and phone books. You can have sketchbooks for art, and you see, we can keep going down this list. It's just up to your imagination, but I'll give you another different kind of tip. Think of something that can be on brand for you to upsell. For example, like because I help people start a business and with business planning, I can sell business journals, entrepreneurship journals, workbooks for entrepreneurs to my existing clients, and it will be on brand for me. And of course, I can sell it on Amazon, but also it gives me something that without a lot of extra work, I can upsell to my clients. So once you start creating an online brand for yourself, if you do, it's not necessary, but it's a good option, then you'll have an extra thing to upsell. Is it going to make you a millionaire? No, because these are not that expensive, but certainly it will add a little bit of revenue to your total. In this video, I want to show you some examples of low content or thin content books. On Amazon, we're going to search for, like, let's say a business journal. And by the way, you can see right away that they give you additional ideas for keywords like notebook, for men, for women, a planner. But let's stay with our original keyword. We're going to search this These two are ads. As you can see here, it's sponsored. So we're going to scroll down to, let's say, the bestseller, the first one that is listed here. And we're going to click it and we're going to look inside. So we're going to look at some of these. This is outside. It looks very nice. But look inside, you see the pages here? They're blank. The pages are blank, so they're not actually shown. You see, these are things people write in there. This is once it's filled out. But you get something like this. You see blank and blank pages. So there's very little work that the creator of this has to do. Now, sometimes journals have more content in them, like more boxes, more guidelines, but it doesn't have to be that way. A lot of people just prefer to get a blank set of pages where they can write. That's what a journal is for. The consumer writes, not you. And the way you would create this is you can create this kind of a design in Photoshop, or you can go to fiverr.com and get it created for you. And you can get additional few kind of images created for you that you can use repeatedly in the journal so that it looks like it's designed and care is put into it. So you can get this all entirely outsourced, and you can get it done within a couple of days, really, because there's no actual writing, there's no editing, there's no proofreading, there's no revising. It's so much easier. And the way that you would create this book is the very same way you would create any book on Amazon. You go to kdp.amazon.com, and there you can create Kindle books, which this is not a Kindle book, but there you can also create paperback books. This is that. The only question I'll have, and I'm actually not certain about the answer, is how fancy the covers will be that they'll make for you. You see the book covers? Because I know that Amazon creates book covers for paperback books, but I don't know of the extent of the materials. Let's say you wanted to use leather or some fancy material, right? Or here you see there's like a string in there on top of the front cover. I don't know the variety of options that you can have through Amazon, but this is something they can easily answer for you in their support. But generally, they do print and ship these books for you if you get them made through kdp.amazon.com, which all of my books, the Kindles and the paperbacks, all of them are printed and shipped. I just manage it through kdp.amazon.com. And actually, for years, I've never seen or touched any of my books. I didn't have to deal with the printing or anything. Amazon takes complete care of that for you. So now hopefully you understand what the thin content books are like and why they are 100% legitimate, 100% in demand, and how you can create them easily even if you don't like writing or don't want to write. Some students ask about acquiring and selling PLR ebooks, so I wanted to make a lecture on this, explaining exactly what PLR is and what are the ramifications of buying and selling these books. PLR stands for private label rights. It basically means that if you buy a book, you'll have rights to sell it as though you wrote it. So you can search for PLR ebooks and you can find a lot of stores, and you can buy ebooks for as little as you can see here with this ad, a ton of ebooks package for like 99 cents. That's eBay, but like there's the PLR store and there's a whole bunch of PLR. And even you may be surprised, but even this is my website. Like I sell my books as an option for PLR. Like I have 20 books here. My books are a little more expensive, so I'm not recommending that you buy them. I'm just showing you the extent of how common this is. Now, can you sell a PLR book on Amazon? Yes, you can, because the whole point of this is that you get to change the author name and the book appears as though it's your name. And even you can change the book title. You can change anything you want about the book in most cases. The question is, should you do this? Because it seems perfect, right? Like you can get a book overnight. In fact, you can get 10,000 books overnight. You can repackage them, quickly sell them on Amazon. Should you do this? And the answer really is the books, they tend to be not that great. So yeah, let's say we click on this PLR book provider, which I don't know this company really well. They'll have books for you on all kinds of topics, but are the books good? Let's say this one, Healthy Juicing. The cover seems really nice. If we click on it, it's hard to know anything about it really because the description is extremely light and there's no more details. And we'd have to download the book, for which you would need to pay. So I'm not going to do that here. But if you download it, you also don't know what you're getting because you have no idea if it's 10 pages or what. There's no way that I can tell from this description. My guess would be that these books are not good. And this is just a guess. So the problem ultimately is you don't know the quality that you're getting. And in most cases, I'd assume the quality is low. Maybe the quality is acceptable, but to sell on Amazon in almost any niche, I mean, you really have to have a really high quality book, really nice one that goes the extra mile. Like if this was 2010 or even 2015, the standard would be somewhat low and you could make money with this. But today and tomorrow, the books that you will compete with, they are so good and they're getting better and better that these kinds of books would really not result in very good revenue in almost all cases. But then the question comes, well, are they useful for anything? Yes. Okay, let me give you some suggestions for how to use them. Because it's only $6.99, it's essentially like $0 to try. So you should download a few of these and experiment with them, because in any case, it's the tiniest of investments into a business, and it's an investment in yourself moving forward, because if you get a book, even a bad book, still you can put it on Amazon, still you can try to sell it from your site. It's going to give you a whole new set of learnings, and you'll open that up for only $7 here. That's amazing, actually. So that's one benefit. The other benefit is you can try to give this away for free on your site. And in general, what I do is go through a few of these and see, some of them are going to be really bad. Some of them are going to be okay, acceptable quality. To compete really well, you need an extraordinary book. These are not going to be that, but these are going to kind of let you compete in sub niches, which is okay because you can acquire a lot of these kinds of books and only a couple of sales of this book will make up for the cost of this book. So ultimately, yes, you can make some money. Is it going to make you a millionaire? In most cases, no, not even close. But is it going to get you to take the steps forward? Yes. So as a first step, it's fine to try, especially if you don't like writing or don't want to write. Just read them yourself and hold the book to a high standard, meaning grammar should be good. The book should actually be interesting. The book should offer new ideas. If it doesn't, then that's going to be considered a bad book. Even though it's acceptable, that's not enough to be considered good today. So my point here is just to have a high level of expectation, a high standard for the book. Because if the book doesn't meet a high standard, while it can move you a little bit forward, which can be good, it's not going to get you all the way where you really want to be. In this video, I want to talk about acquiring and publishing public domain content. And this actually is a page that I'm showing you right from Amazon. So it's their rules. Let me explain to you what public domain content is and how to acquire it and how to resell it. So public domain content is any book that has lost its copyright. In every country, the length of copyright is not infinite. In the US, for example, it's 95 years. So any book that has been written over 95 years ago is public domain content. So you can resell any of those books. You don't have to write them. It's understood that the author is not you, but you can still resell them and publish them on Amazon. Amazon has a few rules, and this page outlines these rules, and I'll have the link to this in the resources of this video, or you can easily just Google for this and you'll find this page. So here are the requirements. You can either translate the book into any other language, you can annotate the books, and they explain to you what they mean by that here, like adding content like study guides, literary critiques, detailed biographies, historical context, and so on. Or you can add illustrations. They require 10 or more unique illustrations. The illustrations are something you can order from Amazon if you want. So you can find a lot of these books on something like Project Gutenberg. I'll show you that in a second. This is that website, and you can, browse their catalog. It's kind of a project to have all these books in one place, and you can search. There's so many books, thousands and thousands of books, and you can download these books and basically just reformat them, change them a little bit, and resell them on Amazon. Now, of course, it will be competitive because all these books are popular. So what do? You go after maybe slightly more niche books. So maybe you don't sell the most popular books of all time. You could try that, but it will be hard to sell because it'll be competitive. But you could sell a lot of books that are still kind of popular, but not too competitive. So you'll have to do your own research on what's popular on Amazon and find your niches. And the majority of your time will be spent reformatting these books because you'll be getting them in formats like text files or HTML. And so you'll have to reformat it for Amazon standards and maybe create your own cover. Maybe you'll do the illustrations and all this. So all that prep work and the marketing essentially is what you do. But again, these are books that are readily available. You don't have to write them. You just have to check. In every country, there's a different threshold for when a book becomes public domain. And every year there's new public domain books. And here's the interesting thing. Every year there are new public domain books. So those are not as competitive yet. Not everybody has jumped on them. So one strategy is to take the most recently available public domain books and try to become the top seller for those. That's another strategy that a lot of people use to sell books without actually writing books. I personally haven't done this, so I can't speak to how effective it is or provide deep details on this just because I write my own books. But certainly this is a very common strategy that's been around for a while and a lot of people are using it with success. Now let's begin talking about making money with video online, and we're going to start the conversation obviously with YouTube because that's the biggest video platform that there is online. In upcoming videos, we're going to talk about courses and other things that you can do. But if you're already doing something like blogging and you have a content strategy plan, then you can apply that content strategy. And just like you can create blog posts, you can create videos on the same topic. And you shouldn't really hire anybody because you might have to just make too many videos long term to be able to hire. But the good news is that you can appear in the videos yourself, or you don't have to appear in the videos yourself. For example, in this video, I could have appeared, I don't appear. There's not that much difference. The whole point is that the viewer gets value. What I want to show you in this particular video is approximately how much money you can make from YouTube. So you can see that so far this month, or in the last 28 days, in my channel, I've gotten 34,000 views approximately. And my revenue is just under $300. So you see, to make a significant amount on YouTube, you really need to 10x my numbers. And that's not even a full-time living necessarily in the United States. Like, to make approximately $3,000 a month, I'd need like almost 400,000 views a month, which is really, really hard. So the other ways to make money on YouTube is, of course, you can sell merchandise, you can sell your products, you can ask for donations, but donations and selling merchandise actually often make even less than the ads. They're just a supplement. But you can also, if you have your own products, like your own digital products or affiliate products, you can also sell that. So the ads is just the very basic foundational thing that's available for all YouTube videos. But if you are getting traffic in some niche on YouTube, of course, all the other monetization strategies begin to apply that we talked about already. You can just sell them from here. So all together, if you look at my revenue here, okay, it's not much, but I also sell my books and I also sell my courses and I also do a few other things, and people hire me for coaching from YouTube. So all together, it makes a lot more money for me, but that's a long-term thing that happens. And because my videos are in a niche, then my audience is pretty targeted and I'm able to know exactly what to sell to them so that they'll buy it. And when I look at my videos, you see I can go edit the title and description, and what you'll see is that I'm promoting some products of mine. You see? And this appears in the description when people watch the video, and during the video I just tell them, hey, click on the see more in the description, click on the link below and go to the products. When you have that kind of a call to action in the videos and people actually engage and like the videos and want more of your content, then they are much more likely to go and buy whatever you're selling in the videos. So that's essentially YouTube. Today, it's quite crowded. It's really hard to start a new channel today because a lot of niches are very crowded. But if you have something new and unique that you can make videos about, that's really great. Or if you have a unique perspective or you do something cool, then it's still wide open for you. It's going to be difficult. For example, in my case, if you look at all my videos, you see my channel has about 649 videos right now. So it took me a long time to get better at creating videos, and it took a while for the channel to grow. Now, also YouTube has made a change recently in that, kind of recently, a couple of years ago already, that you need 1,000 subscribers before you can begin to run ads on your videos. It's not that hard to get 1,000 subscribers. It's just in the beginning, it's annoying, but if you're going to build your channel long term, you'll get to 1,000 subscribers. But if you don't get to 1,000 subscribers, most likely you wouldn't get enough videos to make significant money anyway, no matter what you're selling. So that's just a rule they have. And that's the YouTube overview. It's kind of like the playground that you have. It was the playground for me where I was making bad videos, then I was making less bad videos, and so on and so on. And being on YouTube actually helped me improve. So in indirect ways, it helped me make a lot of money. So I strongly recommend playing around with it. It might not get you to your financial goals now, but if you are consistent with it, it will help you become better at video. And so much of online business moving forward is online video. In this video, let's begin discussing creating online courses. It's a very accessible and very hot and growing space online. Just about any expert on anything can make an online course today. I started in 2014. I first played around with YouTube before that, and I improved in video, in creating videos, and I made all kinds of mistakes, and I was still very bad, and I'm still not expert level, but I'm improving all the time. So it's actually a long journey to become better at video, and your course takers, they pay. So they do expect a certain level of quality. And even though I started in 2014 and I thought it was crowded then, I didn't know what was going to happen later, because now it's much more crowded, and every day it's more crowded, more competitive. And so if you have a great unique niche in which you're an expert, that's really great, because what you don't want to do is go into a space, a very general space like cooking or how to start a business, because there's like literally thousands of instructors teaching that all over the web, and it's a really competitive space. So finding a great niche is really important here. And of course, you want to focus on, over time, improving yourself at good audio, creating good videos, presenting better, and making sure that you have authoritative subject matter expertise, because even in niche courses, there's probably going to be somebody competing with you, and a lot of students are going to be buying the courses from more credible, more experienced instructors, unless you're the one who's the more credible, more experienced. So subject matter expertise is really important. You can't just wake up one day and say, I'm an expert, even though you're kind of beginner to intermediate. You really have to bring expertise and insight into courses today. In 2014 or earlier, you could get away with something lesser quality, but today your students will just be very critical of you. And the main platforms where you can sell online today, if you're not a professor, if you're a regular expert, are Udemy and Skillshare. Udemy is by far the market leader, and Skillshare.com is a very second behind. Most people don't make a lot of money there, and I don't recommend it actually, because from the instructor viewpoint, Udemy treats instructors much, much better than Skillshare does. So if you just do one platform, I would recommend Udemy. And you can also teach the courses on your own website and the main hosting service providers if you want to sell on your site. Our sites like Teachable.com and Thinkific, I believe on Teachable, the basic account is free. So if you want to sell on your site, the Teachable and Thinkific are your options to help you with that, so that they take care of the video player, the payment processing, the video hosting, a lot of things that go into putting together a course that you don't have to take care of technically. And the great thing about courses is, comparatively, it's not a lot of work. It's approximately like maintaining a regular blog. It's approximately like writing a book. If you're fast at video, it's faster for you. If you're slow at video, it's slower for you. If you're a better writer, obviously writing would be easier, but it's comparatively easier. For me, I find creating videos is much easier than writing a book, and I'm able to update the courses much more frequently as well. So for me, I'd say courses, even though to some people it seems like a lot of work, comparatively, like I've done mobile app businesses, I've written books, it's actually, courses are one of the lesser work intensive businesses I've been in. So I see it as a positive. Now, there's some common questions people ask, so let's address them. So how do you make money on Udemy? It's the courses are priced so low. How do people make money? Well, it's volume. You make not much money per sale, but Udemy is like a Walmart model where you basically just have to sell a lot of copies of your course to a lot of students. That's the whole goal. And on your own site, if you sell on your site, you command the prices. So you can generally charge higher rates on your site, especially if you have some kind of niche expertise that can't be readily found on Udemy made in high quality. And people ask, okay, if I make a course on Udemy, how much should I charge? Well, Udemy pricing is mostly discounted all the time anyway, so you can label your course as $100, $200, but actually they'll decide the price ultimately for you because most of the courses are sold at steep discounts. So that's actually a moot question on Udemy. Then people ask, how long should my course be? Usually your first course should be 1 to 3 hours, which is on the short side. If it's your first course, you don't want to make it complicated. You want to finish and publish the course. Your later courses can be longer, and you can get fancy equipment. You don't have to have it. It does help your video and audio. It does help, but you can record from your phone, from your laptop's webcam, or have other thing, and the microphone can be under $100 or under $200, as long as you have a nice quiet place in your home that has a nice background and nice lighting so it's not dim looking. Then you kind of have a okay home studio. You're okay starting to film. And a lot of people have DSLR cameras at home. That's enough. That those make fantastic videos, so you don't have to spend a lot to get started. And even though earlier I said, comparatively, Udemy is not a lot of work compared to other businesses, what's going to happen in most cases for most instructors, they put out their first course, they're very excited, and then the first course doesn't make a lot of money, maybe $50 a month, $100 a month, and that's not even a bad case. Sometimes it makes way less. So usually the way things work out is you make your first course, your second course, your third course, you become better. Even though you thought you were great at first, you realize, you had room to improve, you improve, and then your courses start to improve as well, and they start to make more money. So at first it's like a lot of work, low pay, low pay, low pay, low pay, and then more pay, more pay. If you stick with it, you'll get to high pay. But that's like that in almost all businesses. On YouTube, writing books, blogging, it's like a lot of pre-work, and then later you get paid. So if you're used to getting paid per hour, it's a very different mindset. You have to invest a lot of effort, thankless effort, and then maybe in 6 months, maybe in a year, maybe in a year and a half, you'll see that get rewarded manyfold, but not at first, and with persistence and patience. So one interesting thing that happens, let's say you choose some online niche to do business and you succeed. Let's say the niche is like basically how to become a hiking guide and then make money taking people on hikes and turning that into a tourist business and making 6 figures. Let's say something like that worked out for you. Just as an example, well, then guess what? A lot of other hikers and outdoor enthusiasts, they would love to do what you did. They would love to replicate what you did. So you can start to train people in that niche. And because it's a niche, there's going to be almost nobody competing with you. And so you can create your own course, your own book, your own coaching, create your own YouTube videos and masterminds groups and even membership sites, because guess what? You're the expert, you succeeded, and people want to achieve what you achieved. So they'll take your coaching and training and courses. So it's got to be a niche like that, like kind of a narrow niche for that to be a possibility. And it has to be based on real success that people want. Because if you teach something where you didn't succeed, then people just won't take you seriously. They're not going to buy your products. And the reason it has to be a niche is because if it wasn't a niche, you'll have to compete with like hundreds of similar courses where, it's possible to do all those same things, but it will always be really hard. And one example of this is John Lee Dumas. He had a podcast, Entrepreneur on Fire. I believe he started it in 2012, 13, or 14, where podcasting was just becoming a thing. Like people were just getting into it. And he created a fantastic podcast about business. He was just interviewing somebody new, some new expert every day. And he became one of the top business podcasts. I believe he's still going. And it's called Entrepreneur on Fire. You can look it up. And what he did is because he became one of the top business podcasters. First, he got a tremendous audience from it. Second, he started selling his coaching on how to become a podcaster. And that coaching started making like thousands and tens of thousands of dollars a month. I believe he's over $1 million a year in revenue now. If you think of it, from a free product, right? Because podcasting was free, but he was one of the first ones to get on it. He was one of the first ones to be great. So he was able to have that credibility where other people wanted to learn from him, and he was able to sell high-end coaching, high-end training, all those sorts of things. So that's your introduction to teaching online. Of course, there's a lot more on this topic. It's a complex topic, ever-evolving topic, but this should be a good overview so you can consider if you want to get into this and how to do it. Just like you can license ebooks if you don't want to write ebooks and you can get into that business on day one, you can license courses and you can sell those courses on your site by hosting those courses on Teachable or Thinkific, which are just hosting platforms. And there's a lot of options for it. When you search for PLR courses, you get a lot of courses here. I don't know how good of the quality that the courses are. I actually also have my own courses that I license. My courses that I license, I maintain them and I update them. So a lot of other courses, they go out of date or they become obsolete after a couple of years, but mine have continuous updates at least. So mine are typically more expensive, but mine are never become outdated, so you can keep selling them forever. But even if my site is this one, the problemio.com, you don't have to use that one. You can use any site. And basically what you do is you go through anything like this. This is a competitor of mine, I guess. And you just browse their library and what they have and see if it makes sense for you. You do want to test the quality because I've seen the quality be very low on a lot of these. And you want to choose ultimately the content that's a really good fit for your potential consumers so that obviously if it's a good fit, they might buy it. And the licensing is good because you can get into this business literally on day one with some options that the courses are not too expensive to license and you can at least begin selling them. It's not easy to sell the courses on your own, but it's an option to get into this on day one just by licensing without having to become good at video, without creating content, anything like that. You can skip all that and just get to selling. And all the time when you either have books or courses made for you or when you improve the productivity of how you make them, if you recall when we talked about the books, we talked about how to talk into a recorder and have it transcribed. Anytime like that, what you can do is because you're not really spending a lot of time creating, that part is minimized. What you can do is actually have a lot of content either licensed or made, and you can have a large library to sell, which gives you this benefit. For example, like let's say if you sell one ebook or one course, that's fine. But some people might want to buy more, but you don't have more to sell. And that's where if you have a large library of courses or books, then you can make a lot of money from one client at times. So either outsourcing the creation or licensing allows you to quickly acquire a large library of products that you can then go and sell. With this video, I want to introduce Flippa, which used to be the #1 place to buy and sell domain names. Now it's actually grown to something much bigger. Now it's a place to buy and sell entire businesses. Most people are already familiar with Flippa, but in this video, I'll give you a few business ideas that you can do with Flippa that are relatively easy. What you can do is find good domain names, buy them, and build websites on top of them that are very easy to build in one day. For example, a very basic blog, a very basic affiliate site in a specific niche, cooking niche, health and fitness niche, make money niche, any niche. And you can find multiple products on various affiliate marketing websites that you can then post on that site. And because you'll have a full site with a beautiful domain name, with a nice design, with a set of affiliate products that you'll be selling on it, this is a kind of site that can be sold for hundreds of dollars, which is a ready-made business essentially. And you can figure out how to create a site like that on your own. It's not too hard, or you can outsource this. Once you find a good freelancer to outsource this on Fiverr or Upwork.com, they can put up a site like that design-wise for $100 or $200. Usually it's not out of the question for them. And you can just sell it for a little more. So this is relatively passive if you only do the work of finding a domain name, telling the designer what to design, and then posting that product on Flippa and essentially collecting any extra revenue above the cost that you incur. And you can create all kinds of sites, e-commerce sites, affiliate sites, blog sites, personal branded sites, influencer sites, coaching, local business sites, and there's so many local businesses, local cleaners, local et cetera, et cetera. And the beautiful thing about it is, let's say you create a dentist site or a local cleaning site. The first site you create, you have to actually do a little work. The second site you create like that, the third site you create like that, you have to do literally no work. You just have to copy what you've done before. So it becomes actually more passive with time. And the only thing you have to do is figure out how to actually sell these on Flippa, which is not a difficult site to master. So those are many business models that you can do in a very short time with relative few skills and with relative very little work that is essentially an option for almost everyone. In this video, let's talk about how you can choose a good domain name for your business. It's very important because it's your brand and it's very often the very first thing people see about your business even before they come to your site, when they choose to click on it or not from somewhere on the web. So people think you can't get a good domain name, but you can still get plenty of great good .com domains. What you should try to do is keep it relatively short, 2 to 3 syllables. If you go longer, it's okay. It's not the end of the world, but you should make an effort to stay short on it. And usually they should be English words that are easy to spell. I say usually because what if you have an international business or a non-US business, then of course you don't need English words. But generally you want words that are simple and easy to spell and easy to remember, because people will forget everything. I used to have a website, comehike.com, about hiking, comehike.com. I thought it was so easy. 2 English words, 2 syllables, impossible to forget, I thought. And then people would forget all the time. They would be like, go hiking? What is it? Is it go hike? So then I realized, oh my God, people will forget. To make it as easy as possible for people. And of course, give hints about your brand. It doesn't have to be exactly what the business is, but at least a little bit of a hint to it. And of course, before you get your domain, you want to check social media handles and existing trademarks to make sure that that name that you're thinking about is not trademarked. Some people ask, what about getting exact match domain? Exact match domain are like, let's say if you're selling shoes, your domain would be shoes.com. And so when people search for shoes, your site will have a much higher chance to come up in Google because it's obviously domain is shoes, the search is shoes. And so especially earlier on, like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, the exact match domain used to rank amazingly well in search, and they were very, very popular. Of course, it's very hard to even get an exact match domain for something very lucrative, but it's still possible at times. The question is it worthwhile? It still makes a difference, but it also has some problems, because if you need to change direction later, then your exact match domain will restrict your brand flexibility, because that same exact example, comehike.com, if I wanted to expand into camping or skiing, it would be hard because the name hike is right there in the domain. So if I had named it come do outdoor stuff, that's too long. But you see, I did it more generalized, like outdoor. Then of course, camping and skiing would be all under that. So exact match domains, they do help now a tiny bit for SEO, but they also restrict your brand. So it's a decision. If you aren't sure that your business is going to be exactly the same in the future, you might want to stay with a more general brand, and that goes for your domain, because specifics, they just decrease your flexibility. And what you want to do is, of course, stay away from .net, .biz, .info, and even sometimes .co. I know .co are popular now, but a lot of consumers outside the tech world, they're not sure about this .co, and they're always going to ask, is it .co? Is it .com? You don't want the domain to be distracting from your core business. You want to get to the more important things. And one caveat is country-specific domains are okay. So in France, it would be .fr. In UK, it would be .co.uk. There are far more domain names available with those extensions than .com. So it's easier to get a great domain. Of course, that's only if you're doing a business in France or in UK. If you're doing a US-based business, it don't make sense anymore. Now let's talk about what not to do. Don't put numbers in your domain. Don't put hyphens like this example, XYZ hyphen ABC. Hyphens are just weird. Don't violate trademarks. This would be a trademark violation and Facebook would come after you, like facebooker.com as an example, right? It's I'm sure you can't get that domain anyway, but if you could, don't. So you always want to check if you're infringing on existing trademarks. There are ways to check on your own. You just Google around for it. This course is not about checking for trademarks, but you should definitely Google how to check for trademarks. It's very simple. Trademarks are publicly available information and you can just find if something is trademarked. And don't rush into a domain. A lot of people think, oh, if I don't get it now, people will buy it. Most of the time, that's not true. Take a while before you decide because you'll be stuck with it for a long time if you get it wrong. So get a lot of feedback on your domain, get a lot of opinions, and only buy it a little later. So let yourself kind of think about it. And avoid weird spellings because people just won't remember that. And every time people forget or they feel confused, they're going to feel bad about themselves and feel stupid. That just causes them kind of to go away or not engage. So the easier you can make things for people, the better always. Now, buying domains. You can get your domain name, your first domain name for free if you buy hosting on bluehost.com. They have that perpetual good offer all the time. Or you can get a very cheap domain on GoDaddy.com. If you Google for like GoDaddy discount coupons, there's a ton of active coupons, so you can get a discounted domain name for $1 or $2 or something like that. So buying them is no problem. So that's essentially how you go about shopping for a domain and researching your domain and getting the right one. Now, I'm actually on GoDaddy.com and I'll show you how I would look for a domain. There are many, many better places where you can look for a domain and domain suggesters, but they're a little bit outside of the scope of complexity of this video. This is just a beginner introduction. So what you would do is, like, let's say you have some idea for a business. Maybe it's a coaching business. So you would do strongcoaching.com. You would literally type that in here and they would tell you if it's available. You see, they say it's taken. So they tell you all these other ones are available, like they give you suggestions, right? Strong Coaching Services. Okay, it's a boring sounding domain name, but it's clear. So it's not terrible. I wouldn't buy it though, but it's passable. And you would see, you would browse here. Don't get any of this Mobi, Club, nothing, that site. Don't get any of this. But if you have anything like .com suggested, like Strong Coaching Center, okay, like if that resembles what you're doing, then sure, that you will get that domain. But then you can just keep searching. Instead of Strong Coaching, you may be like Epic, right? So you would just try different words. Of course, that one is taking. A lot of the domains around coaching are taken, but as long as you play around and you maybe use a thesaurus would give you ideas for different keywords, and you try like one or two terms, like Epic Coaching, Strong Coaching, and then you'd get into like something interesting. Now, here's an example that I just found randomly. Now, this violates a lot of our rules, so I would not recommend this per se, but here's the sky is the limit coaching. It's quirky and fun, which is good, but it's a little too long and it's too many words and it sounds awkward. So I would not get this, but you can see how you can play around with the prefixes and suffixes. You can take out the sky is the limit and you can say dream coaching. Of course, this will be taken, but you will just play around, and you would always keep trying, and eventually you'll stumble into some interesting domain names. This is a process that takes time, but over time, maybe days. Keep playing around, keep thinking, keep being creative. So even as I'm thinking, I thought of like, oh, Better You Coaching, and I typed it in here and it was taken, but still it's an idea. So keep getting these ideas and eventually you'll stumble into clusters of terms around which domains are not taken. And then as long as they fit the rules we outlined, you can grab one and they will represent your brand well and they'll be professional. In this video, let's talk about how to create your website. Of course, if you're non-technical. If you're technical, you're probably just gonna create it yourself in a day or two if it's a simple website. So this video is not for you, but if you're non-technical, you probably have these questions. Should I do it DIY, try to figure it out by myself? Like usually people figure out Wix or WordPress or even HTML coding. And if you choose Wix or WordPress or anything else, like which one should you use? Those are the typical questions that we're going to answer in this video. So if you're not a developer, there's a very simple answer. You should outsource. Because even if you figure out how to create your WordPress website, and you should have a working knowledge of it and you should be able to edit it, so play around with it a little bit because you will need to make edits long term, but you're going to end up spending 10 times the time to create your website, and it will still look amateur because you're not going to know how to customize the themes. Theme is what they call the design in WordPress. And a WordPress developer, they've done it before your site probably hundreds of times. So they'll be able to go in there in a day or a few days. They should be able to go in there, boom, 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 update everything and make it look nice and professional. So if you have a relatively simple site, like 5 to 10 pages, maybe a blog, maybe even you sell a product or two, then that's a WordPress, no problem. You can also do Squarespace. The difference between WordPress and Squarespace is WordPress, you're able to customize a lot more, and Squarespace is kind of pre-built, and Wix is just another version of Squarespace. But I think at the end of the day, I would just go with WordPress, and that will make your life easier because then you can just hire freelancers and you don't have to worry about the look and feel. The content of your site, you're responsible for that. But the look and feel and the design, that's something that a developer can do for you pretty quickly. So if you're deciding Shopify versus WordPress versus Squarespace versus Wix, the reason some people use Shopify is for heavy e-commerce. So if you have a specifically e-commerce store, then of course you want to use Shopify. But WordPress also has plugins to help you have e-commerce. So you can do that with WordPress as well, no problem. It's just Shopify has more robust features centered around e-commerce. And then Squarespace and Wix, they're more like drag and drop, easy to create the site. But the most popular platform, and I think over 21% or over 22% or something like that of all websites on the web, they have WordPress underneath. So that's probably overall the safest bet. Now, I want to clear up one confusion. You can get a free domain name like yourdomain.wordpress.com. Don't do that. You will need hosting and you will need to buy a domain name. And there's options to get a free domain name. But in this video, I just want to make sure that you understand, get your own hosting, which is usually $5 to $10 a month. Get your domain name, which is usually like a one-time fee a year, small fee. And you want yourname.com, not yourname.wordpress.com. Yourname.wordpress.com looks extremely unprofessional and it's extremely hard to do business that way. Your business is just not going to work because people won't buy from a site like that typically. So there's plenty of options like bluehost.com is a popular hosting option. Even GoDaddy, which most people don't like, but it's still popular. And there's many, many options for them. They're pretty much a commoditized thing. So you'll need a domain name, hosting, and then on your hosting, you would install WordPress as the CMS, and then you'd give that to the developer, and the developer would just customize the WordPress, which is going to be how the website looks to the consumers. So that should answer the questions of which CMS you should choose, and should you do it by yourself, and what to buy. With this video, I want to give you a very strong and full overview of the blogging business. Everybody's aware of blogging, obviously, but people don't really know what it entails. It really can be one of the easiest businesses to start and one of the hardest projects to actually make successful because fewer and fewer people still read these days, but at the same time, still many people do read. So you have to start with some niche around which you can build expert content. And a lot of people think, well, I'm going to get into the weight loss niche, the make money niche, cars or music or something, or beauty. Well, those are not niches. Those are billion-dollar industries. Your blog topic has to be something very narrow inside that big industry. And you have a few options for what you can do with a blog. You can create a basic WordPress site and then sell it on Flippa. You can have a business just getting domain names, putting blogs on them, selling it. Or you can have a more long-term business where you actually write and create that content. So let's talk about what it means to have your blog as a business. It can be good, but it's difficult. You have to do the writing and the SEO marketing and the social media marketing yourself. Because if you outsource it, it will be so expensive that you'll never make that money back, and you'll likely quit at some point because it just will be too expensive. And one piece of content, you can hire somebody to write it, edit it, promote it. That can be potentially hundreds of dollars, but you'll need to build tens or hundreds of such pages. So you see pretty quickly this gets out of control. So you have to do a lot of the work. And so the niche you choose has to be a niche where you can write something insightful and intelligent, something you know about. So the niche that you choose has to be something you can write expert content on that's interesting, that stands out. It can't be just some generic topic. And the revenue typically for blogs comes in the form of Google Ads, selling affiliate products, selling your own products eventually. A lot of bloggers end up writing their book and creating a course. And of course, there's membership site opportunities that you can sell memberships to your site. But that all comes with time, because none of this works without traffic and reader engagement first. And you have to write the content, promote it, and only then start to monetize. So actually, it can take a little time to get this going. So how much can you earn? I know that's what a lot of people might want to ask. In the first year, you can get up to hundreds of dollars a month as revenue. That's reasonable. In year 2, you can make more hundreds of dollars a month. Maybe in the first year, you'll make on the low end of that. On the second year, you'll make on the high end of that, maybe $500, $700 a month. That's not bad for a blog. Obviously, there are some standout blogs that make thousands upon thousands quickly, but most are very moderate in their potential. Now, if you persist and if you keep going, in year 3, approximately, you'll get more content that you've created, more traffic to it. You'll become better at content creation, marketing, and of course, monetizing. So you'll start making thousands of dollars a month. And in year 4, that gives you a lot of time, enough time to get up to 5 figures a month. You can add services that you provide. You can have a lot of content built up, and that content can dominate its niches. And from that, you can sell a lot of different products. So you'll be very comfortable then. After that, long term, you're going to have a bigger business. And the sky is really the limit. But it's up to you, because most people, they quit earlier than that. They don't persist. But if you persist, that's the approximate reasonable trajectory for most blogs. So it can be a fantastic business that's largely passive and earns you enough money that you can have freedom. But it's not like you're going to have a blog and on month 1, you'll have the freedom. It's like you'll have a blog and on year 4, you'll have great freedom, or year 3. So there's an issue of expectation. You got to expect very moderate results early, but you can be really successful with the blog if you stick with it. This video is going to be for e-commerce and selling products. I'm going to give you a few options for how to source, meaning how to get the products or how to have them created, and how to sell them and where to sell them. So let's get started. So sourcing options. This is great if you can create your own products, if you are crafty. Some examples are art, clothing, like if you can sew or knit, or if you can create furniture, if you're good with woodworking, or look through Etsy. Anything that is there, things that people actually make with their hands, that will give you a wealth of ideas for what you can actually create on your own without needing some kind of third-party manufacturers that you can turn around and sell online. And it ranges from like soap even. People create like handmade soap. I mean, you really should just browse Etsy for a ton of ideas. A lot of them you can make. Also, if you can invest in a 3D printer. 3D printing is one of the future forward-looking businesses, and you can create a lot of products. You don't have to be crafty at all, and you can get products made at home and then sell them online. And of course, there's Alibaba and AliExpress. The difference between them is Alibaba is basically selling products from China for cheap, but you have to buy in bulk. AliExpress, you can buy one by one. And AliExpress will also drop ship, meaning if somebody orders, that manufacturer in China can actually ship it. The main problem with the drop shipping from China is that it takes like 2 or 3 or 4 weeks to get anywhere in like the Americas. And also on Alibaba, when they require you to buy a lot of inventory, you might get stuck with a lot of inventory, and then sometimes it's hard to sell the inventory. So you got to be careful of the risk. So starting with AliExpress is better, but they both have their challenges. But on the other hand, they both have tens of thousands of products you can get and sell. Another thing you can do is if you just want to start out, you don't want to create products, you don't want to buy from AliExpress or Alibaba, you can go to like your local 99-cent store or discount stores or Walmarts and whatever. They have really cheap prices. You can buy a few products and try to sell the very same products online just to start learning how this whole online e-commerce thing works. And if you start seeing success, that might give you ideas for what you can realistically do at a bigger scale. So that's a way to get started. Now, how do you sell these products? Of course, the biggest online store in the world is Amazon. If you can sell on Amazon, that's fantastic. And Amazon has a lot of problems. Like, they have rules, they take commissions, but everyone I've had this conversation with, if they dominated their niche in Amazon, they were beyond happy, no matter what their concerns were. And Amazon does put a lot of requirements on sellers, but those are typically outweighed by the benefits. Because of course you want to be in the bigger store in the world. I mean, they can make you a millionaire. I literally had clients who struggled to sell on their own site, then went on Amazon. 6 months later, they're making 6 figures. A year later, they're making $1 million. Like, I've literally seen that happen. Next, of course, is Etsy.com for handmade products. And they even sell some digital products as well. You can sell ebooks there, and you can sell vintage items. There's a lot of different things you can sell on Etsy. Also, a lot of people ask, should I open my own Shopify store? Here's the deal with that. If you want to get your own store, it's great, but you're going to have to be the one driving traffic. It's really hard because your store has no credibility. Like Amazon, Etsy, they have credibility. Consumers know if something is wrong, they're going to get a refund. In your store, that might be true, but they don't know that, or they don't trust that even if you tell them. Most of the time, the bottom line is that Shopify store owners, their biggest struggle is getting the traffic and the sales. Most people cannot get past that. So Etsy's and Amazon's and eBay's of the world, those are easier places to start. Shopify, that will work if you have a fantastic narrow niche that you can dominate, but outside of that, it's really hard. Now, how do most people shop usually online? How do your consumers find your products? Well, most people shop by searching. They search in Google, they search in Amazon, they search in Etsy, they search in eBay. That's not the only way they shop, but it's largely how they shop. Imagine if you're shopping for socks. You're going to go on Google or Amazon. You're going to type socks, you're going to find socks, and you're going to order some. For most people, that's the process. If you want fancy socks, cute socks, you might go to Etsy. But you shop for socks maybe like a few times a year, exactly when you need it. So when a consumer searches, they're not only telling the search engine what they want, they're telling the search engine exactly the right timing, which is when they're searching. The main problem is it's really hard to rank in search. If you can rank highly, you can sell a lot. If you don't rank highly, you're going to struggle. And in most consumer verticals, there's already some very strong competitors that you have. So likely they're the ones selling a lot. But you can overcome them in time. And the same is true on Google, Amazon, and Etsy. And Google is the hardest to compete in search, and Amazon and Etsy is a little easier. So a lot of people ask, well, if search is so hard, can I run ads? Specifically, can I run Facebook ads? And I would say for shopping, Facebook ads are a little overrated because you can serve an ad to a person. Sure, they can click on it, but they're not shopping necessarily now. Their interest level is not that high because on Facebook, it's impossible to tell the timing. When can you tell the timing? When people are searching. So search-based ads. Google has a specific type of ad for shopping, and you want to run those ads. And of course, if you're selling on Amazon, Amazon has its own native ads you can actually run inside Amazon. Those are very effective. And of course, retargeting ads. If you're not familiar with what a retargeting ad is, I'm sure you've seen it online many times. For example, if you go to Amazon or any big site and you click on some product and then you go on Facebook, and for some reason, Facebook is showing you that exact product as an ad. That's because Amazon is retargeting you. They want to bring you back to buy that product. So those are the retargeting ads. And you can actually set that up in Facebook and Google ads. You can set it up easily. But those are very effective because they're bringing back people who already know about your site, who've already been to your site, warm leads who are better targeted than cold leads that are gotten by the other types of ads. And very quickly, in case you weren't sure what I was talking about when I was talking about the Google Shopping ads, you see these pictures here? These are actually ads. You see it says sponsored. These only come up when you search for products. These are very attractive kind of ads. They have pictures, they have prices, they have stars. So these kinds of ads, they're highly converting and they appear before the products, before the actual websites. So this is the Google Shopping ads, not to be confused with regular text-based ads that are the more common Google ads. Like these, right? You see, these are the regular ads that have no picture, nothing. But the shopping ads are really beautiful looking ads showing products, and they are very effective at selling most kinds of products. In this video, I want to introduce you to Cafe Press, which is a website that can help you manufacture a very large number of different items. Of course, it acts as a store, but for us, it's interesting because you see on top here, you can design your own. So what you would do is, they have mugs, you see like on the left here. For example, if we just take the mug example, they have a very standard white mug, but what you would do is add a design on it. You can hire designers on Fiverr.com, on Upwork.com, on 99designs.com. There's no shortage of designers out there. Maybe you're a designer or you think you could try your hand at designing. All these options are open for you. You can create your own cups, anything. If you look on top here, t-shirts, hoodies, pajamas, a lot of people want to get into the t-shirt business. This is a fantastic way to enter it. It might not be the way to stay there long term, but at least to get started. What this does really well is it has standard relative quality items. It's not the best quality in the world, but pretty good enough. And you can see if you're able to sell. So you can manufacture any product here. So you don't have to deal with your local printers. You don't have to go and get ripped off by local people who may be t-shirt printers, hoodie printers, mug makers, all these people. You don't have to deal with them. This is a relatively standard process. And once you have your item here, you can also get your item shipped to you and then try to sell the same item on eBay, Amazon, your own website, even Etsy. And you can see which one is selling well. Once one is selling well, then you can consider, how can I get the production to be in higher volumes? How can I reduce the cost of my items? But before all that, you need to see which ones am I actually able to sell. So this is a fantastic way to test it quickly, because you'll be able to get very standard, very common items very quickly. Now, what's the challenge with selling exactly these items? Well, the challenge is that these are very standard items. T-shirts, pajamas, underwear. I mean, like bags, hats. Like these are items with which you'll compete with thousands of other very similar items. That's the main problem. Anybody can slap a logo on a hat or a mug or a cup or whatever. That's the issue. Let's talk about how to solve this issue. Very likely, in e-commerce, you might think, I'm going to promote on social media. It's actually not accurate for e-commerce, meaning selling products. Most products are sold through people searching. When they need some product, they search for it. And for you, you have to think, okay, I'll make a cup, for example, but maybe it will be specifically a Mother's Day cup. Obviously, we don't even have to go to research it to understand that's probably also very competitive right now because it's a very popular holiday, but something like that. So you need themes. When you have a theme, Mother's Day, Father's Day, birthday, those are not great examples because they're competitive, but you see, those give you keywords people search for. Great gift for mom, mug for dad. You see, you have to find niches in which you'll be able to differentiate yourself, or niches in which you already have an existing audience. For example, like I have an audience in entrepreneurship. In that case, I can make some cool, funny hats or funny t-shirts for entrepreneurs and try to sell them with my brand as well. Selling merchandise doesn't make a big difference financially. It's just a tiny revenue boost usually. But in your case, what you would want to do is find some niche that's not too competitive. And you can literally keep thinking and thinking, trying it. And once you think of one, go to Google, search for it. If there's not a lot of good products, great. Then it's not competitive. Go to Amazon, search for the same thing. If there's not a lot of very strong competitors, great. That might be an opportunity. Do your common keyword research to see what kind of demand there is for this. And once you sift through a lot of ideas for themes, you might want to try these out. And the great thing about Cafe Press is that you can try these experiments relatively cheaply for dollars or tens of dollars, but not hundreds of dollars. Just get a little bit of inventory, try to sell. If you can sell, get more inventory and grow it that way. Experiment. And pretty soon you'll get very good at finding interesting niche, like long tail niches, not birthday, not Mother's Day, but maybe Teacher's Day. Okay, obviously that's still possibly competitive, but certainly not as competitive as Mother's Day. So you kind of go down the line. And the great thing about them is once you get it right, once you get some niches right and you're selling on your site and you have the SEO going on your site, you have some ads maybe, you maybe have some Amazon listing that you sell from, that's passive income, right? So you attain that goal, and the niches, you'll just grow in your niches and you'll just keep gaining more and more niches. And thinking now, you might think, well, all the niches are competitive, and it always feels that way when you're on the outside looking in. But when you're on the inside, when you've tried it out and you've gotten a lot of experience, you can find a lot of niches. For example, you can just go after current topic niches. If there's some news next month and you're the first one to, let's say, make a funny t-shirt about that topic, whatever it might be, as long as being funny is appropriate, there might be a little bit of a market for it. Is that market going to last? No, probably not, because the month after that, people will stop talking about that news item. But you didn't have to invest a lot to sell and to have products on that theme. And that's just one example. You can have plenty of niche examples that I promise you'll find once you practice and become good at finding these kinds of very long tail niches. One example literally might be go and Google for all the, every industry has a day, like speech therapist day, doctor's day, nurse's day, truck driver's day, I don't know, but like everyone has a day and there are different jobs, and for every job, you can make a mug saying to my favorite truck driver or best truck driver in the world or something like that, just a little cuter than my example. Something a little cuter, more heartwarming, more endearing. Maybe with t-shirts it would be a little funnier because t-shirts usually are made to be funnier. Same with hats. Try to think of all of these. There are hundreds and hundreds of potential niches that are not really that competitive. And so I'm sure you'll be able to find a lot of good potential long tail niches, which because they won't be competitive, you'll be able to get into and sell relatively quickly. In this video, I want to give you a complete strategy for an e-commerce brand. And I say brand because in this case, I mean brand like a bigger vision, bigger potential. And I'll give you this example of my own e-commerce brand, which I'm actually sort of just in the middle of starting out. The entire brand is wave if you like. So the idea is when you're walking by on the street, if people like what you like, they wave at you, right? So it's kind of catchy and it's a little bit viral in that it creates an interaction between people. And so you'll see that I've got like wave if you like cats, and here I've got like wave if you like SEO, and I've got wave if you like wine, and of course here's wave if you don't like COVID. So you get it. It's basically all kinds of topics. And what I want to explain to you with this example is how to create a drop shipping / print on demand e-commerce business that's almost entirely passive income right from your website. But also this is very closely related to what you might be familiar with also is selling on Amazon, selling on Etsy, selling merch, right? Merchandise. All of this is print on demand. Let me explain to you what all these things mean so that we're all on the same page. Let's say if I was starting this business like 20 years ago, I would have to go and find somebody who would create these t-shirts in some print shop. Then I would have to go and ship them myself. It would be a pain and a nightmare because you see, these don't sell for that much money. So all that extra work would eat into my profit and it would make this business really hard. Today, none of those challenges are present. The only thing you have to do is make these designs. Like I had somebody on the freelancing site create this design with a cat. Then I superimposed it on a t-shirt, as you can see here, and I submitted it to all kinds of sites. For example, this is a Shopify site, but I connected my Shopify, which is just the e-commerce platform, to something called Printify. And Printify, on the back end of Shopify, they print and they ship. So I never have to touch a single shirt. I never ship them. I never print them. All I have to do is drive traffic to the store. With fashion or e-commerce, usually inventory is a big problem. In this case, I don't have any inventory. Now, the same design, take a look. All of these designs, they're also on Amazon because Amazon also has merch.amazon.com. The same shirts are on Etsy. The same shirts are on different stores, like you might have heard of Redbubble. This is Redbubble. Basically, all it is just you upload designs and you can put them on products. You see, put them on phone cases, accessories, all kinds of things, right? They create the products, they ship the products. All you provide is the design and make sure that you get discovered. And it's the same thing on a website like Teespring. This is Teespring. It's essentially the same thing. And there's a million designers who can create your t-shirts. And I had to go through a few iterations, like some of them were bad, fine, that was easy to identify, but some of them are okay. And then you kind of have to get to a point where your t-shirt is great. For example, this t-shirt, maybe not in white color, but like in pink color, it's kind of cute. And I like it in green. But you see, the picture of the cat is like really cute and endearing. And this shirt actually gets a good response. For example, much better than a shirt like this, which is also cute, kind of like that, but maybe just a little less endearing. So the design takes a few iterations of improvement, but once you get to a good design, then you can just replicate it, and future designers don't have to design from scratch. They can just copy a lot of elements of previous designs that worked. And so then there's two questions that remain. How do you sell these shirts? How do you actually create a brand? And another question is, what's the potential? In fashion, potential is limitless. Everyone in the world has clothing, and this can be t-shirts now, this can be jackets later, hoodies later, hats later, you name it, right? Sweatpants. The only limit is the quality of the execution, because if I keep the store as it is, you can probably see it's a little bit early days for the store. It's not mature yet, but if I have hundreds of designs, the actual design of the actual site is great, the logo is better, I'm actually working on improving it now, then because there's a theme here, and it's kind of a catchy theme, maybe it's not the best theme in the world, wave if you like, but it's kind of catchy and it's viral and people are like, what's that, you know? People get curious. And because it's memorable, if I make it look great and everything, I have a bunch of great designs, at that point, let's say I start to get publicity, like mentions by big influencers, creating my own big social media accounts on this, all that stuff. Now, everybody will know about it. And this is going to be amplified by, you see, wave if you like, it's literally viral because it gets another person to engage with the shirt. So even people who don't buy it at the moment, they sort of remember it. That's why it's brandable. And then guess what happens? People search wave if you like. Oh, wave if you like. I'm on Etsy. You see wave if you like on Amazon. It's all under this wave if you like brand. You see, all you have to do is type in wave if you like on Amazon, and boom, you get a bunch of t-shirts, all mine, wave if you like. So wherever people are comfortable shopping in all the major fashion retailers, and I can manage it easily even by myself because all I have to do is upload designs and that's it. That's the beauty of this kind of business. Now, having said all this, it's potentially amazing, right? But it's actually really, really, really hard to pull off. Here's the main reason why, and essentially the only reason why. It's incredibly hard to promote. There's a million shirts with cute cats, with cute dogs, with cute everything. Super competitive, and there's only a few ways to sell these. Ads, which is very risky because you may experiment with ads, might never actually find the formula to sell it profitably because the margin here is pretty low, right? The price is only $20, so you don't have that much spending per ad. Then SEO, search engine optimization. Again, it's brutal. SEO is so hard because there's so many other t-shirts. If people search cat t-shirts, dog t-shirts, gift t-shirts, all of these keywords are incredibly competitive. Then, of course, publicity. And publicity really depends. Do other large publications think your brand is noteworthy? Like, I think Wave If You Like is cool, but maybe not others. Some people have a lukewarm reaction to it. And if they do, they're not going to give me the publicity. And so I'm stuck without sales channels. And then this business dies, despite all the potential. What's going to happen to this business? I don't know, equally as you don't know, because it is early days. And of course, most businesses, despite their founders' hopes, do not succeed. So chances are against me here, but I'll do my best. But what I did want to do in this video is give you a really great overview of the entire print-on-demand ecosystem and creating a fashion brand versus just e-commerce. In this video, I want to talk about making money from hobby and interest groups and turning that into maybe even events business long term. So this can start very, very simply. You just have to pick a hobby that you like,
that you want to build a community around, just for yourself even. So for example, I used to organize hikes and I used to go on hikes, and then I thought, oh, it would be nice to meet people while I'm hiking. So I used to started organizing group hikes that took people who I didn't know, right? Anybody can come with me. And then it started becoming a regular thing. I started charging and so on and so on. And that actually became the beginning of my events business. And I actually attend many such things myself as a consumer. Like, for example, I attend the soccer meetup where I go and play, and somebody else organizes the game, rents the field, gets the permit for the field, and I have to just pay a small fee. Some of that fee, sure, goes for the permits of the field, but some of that fee goes to the organizer. So the organizer makes money by charging for the attendance. So it's good for the organizer. It's social. They do something, they play too, in the case of soccer. So they do something they like, and they make a little money. So that works out. So whatever whatever hobbies you have, you don't have to do hiking, you don't have to do soccer, but find your hobbies. It could be a book group, can be some kind of like a geeky topic, whatever it is for you. There's like-minded people, and they'll actually appreciate that you're doing this, and they'll even pay at times to attend, especially if you have some expenses that you need to cover. So you can always ask for small fees or donations, so you can even start making a little money from this. And long term, as this grows, it can become an events business. Events businesses are typically local businesses that, they're either give some value to the attendees, maybe entertainment, or maybe it's a workshop where you teach something. For example, in the hiking, it would be like outdoor survival training, or maybe you teach some technical skill, or whatever it is. There's something always you can teach, you can improve, especially if it's career related or business related. And events are great because you can put them on regularly, monthly, weekly, whatever you want. So the revenue is regular, but it's actually growing, because as you keep doing this consistently and persistently, you're going to grow in your audience, you're going to grow in attendance. And you can start this by promoting on meetup.com, and eventually also creating your own website. Meetup.com charges, I think, around $12.50 every 2 weeks. So it's pretty cheap to start, and they have thousands upon thousands of people who are looking to attend events. So it's a perfect audience, and it's already up there. It's very popular in North America. I don't know where in the world you might be, but in many places, Meetup has a lot of members. And a lot of local sites, if you don't have Meetup in your area, you can just search for local sites in wherever you live on Google, like what to do in the city you're in. And some of them will actually allow you to post your events on their site, and you can just use existing sites. And even if there aren't, you can use your website. And usually there are many websites for events in many metropolitan areas across the world, because there are just a lot of people looking for things to do. So you just have to go on Google, and you'll find many such sites. And this can be monetized as your event grows in many different ways. So let's talk about the fun part, event monetization, how you're going to make money. Well, of course, attendance, charging for attendance. That's the most common thing for events. Sometimes you can ask for donations if you don't want to charge a hard attendance fee. And making the event free actually will help you have larger attendance, because people don't have to pay. And then out of that larger attendance, you still can ask for donations, and it will just be more people giving smaller donations probably. And of course, you can upsell products, you can upsell some services. For example, when I did the hiking, I upsold hiking products from my website during the events. If you have a professional service you can offer, then you want to upsell professional services. For example, if you have a workshop that you run about maybe some kind of a programming language or some kind of a business technique or real estate, then of course, upselling your actual real estate or business or programming services, that's fantastic, right? Or if you run events about the mobile app business and you happen to be a mobile app developer, well, you can get a lot of clients from an event series, because all those people are probably interested in having their app developed. And of course, you can always upsell bigger events like weekend getaways, bigger trips, bigger workshops, eventually like small conferences, because once you have that audience who go to your events and go to many of your events, that's a perfect group of people to upsell bigger events too for more expensive prices. Because usually weekend getaways, they're thousands of dollars. And of course, events, once they grow, they can get sponsorships from companies looking to sell products to your attendees. So there's a lot of ways to make money from this. The goal is to just be consistent and to grow your events into something relatively sizable. Then a lot of monetization strategies open up in a very nice big way. In this video, I want to talk about creating and making money from software-based products. These are things you have to create, like WordPress plugins, mobile apps, and so on and so on. We'll talk about it in a second. But basically, it requires either technical ability, so fantastic if you can program, or ability to spend money that you can either spend out of pocket or raise. So if you're technical, this is great because a lot of people just cannot compete with you based on the fact that like not many people can create a mobile app or a piece of software or something else. So it's fantastic to use your skills for that, and it's going to make the cost of development essentially free, just your effort, but you won't have to spend. So technical people do have an advantage in these businesses. And I'll go over a few types of businesses. There are many, but I'll just give you examples so you get a good view of them. So the first kind of a business is like WordPress plugins. They're very basic software, at least the basic ones. I mean, your plugin can be something extremely complicated, obviously, but for small plugins, I mean, even if you outsource, you'll spend under $1,000, maybe under $500, which is a very reasonable amount to spend for outsourcing. And also, if you're a programmer, you can make this relatively quickly on your own. And when I say WordPress plugins, you can create Shopify plugins. You can even use the Etsy API to create some kind of Etsy widgets. It's just basically extra little softwares that live on top of existing big platforms that the big platforms don't do themselves. And these are relatively easy to get into if you're a programmer or if you outsource. The same thing with like Chrome plugins. Again, the basic ones, you can have them created for you under $1,000, or if you're a programmer, you can make it on your own for not a tremendous amount of effort. The next level up in effort are mobile apps. They're technical, they require a little more programming. So if you're outsourcing, it will take $5,000 to $20,000 depending on complexity. And if you are programming, it might take months, like 1 or 2 months to create, again, depending on complexity, of course. And there are many such businesses. In fact, like all the cool software startups, the new Ubers or the Airbnb, there's got to be some software development. And developers, software engineers, they have an advantage. Of course, you need some business background as well, but technical ability is just a little more important in this, because the business stuff is you're going to learn it over time, or you can have mentors or advice, but technical skills are harder to acquire. So what can go wrong with these businesses? What are the typical issues? Almost always, it's hard to promote. Apps are hard to promote. WordPress plugins are hard to promote. Shopify plugins are hard to promote. Chrome plugins, anyway, you get it. It's hard to promote. It's all competitive. Even if you're technical and you create a technical product, it's still a lot of other people are creating technical products. So even though it might be less competitive than some other spaces, it's still hard to promote and competitive. And it's usually hard to monetize because what? Because consumers are used to taking free things, free apps, free plugins, free websites, everything free. And then you have to monetize it as they're using your product. So that's a challenge. But for technical people, these are interesting businesses to get into. And the examples I gave, like WordPress plugin or mobile app or Chrome plugin, these are just some examples, but really think anything that has an API, which if you're technical, you know what that is basically a way to work with the existing functionality of that software, of that platform. Even LinkedIn, it has an API. You can create little LinkedIn apps. So you can do a lot of things, and most of the time you always just have to consider how hard is it going to be for me to develop, how hard is it going to be to promote, how hard is it going to be to monetize, and the main thing is create something that you know is needed or you believe is needed and test that. For easy software, you don't have to test too much, because actually sometimes the easiest test is just to make it and put it out in the market and see how it goes, and that's the test. But for complicated software, of course, you like apps, you'll have to get a lot of feedback and all that. But ultimately, the goal is you have to create some kind of a niche product that is helpful to consumers. And then, of course, it's going to be easier to promote and everything else, because sometimes people get carried away by creating some kind of cool thing. But if it's not too needed, it will be even harder to promote. And if it's really needed, it will be a little easier to promote, especially if it's a niche and especially if it's a underserved niche or some kind of a new niche. So those are the thinking points that go into creating a software-based product and building a business on top of that. In this video, I want to show you an example of a client of mine with whom I'm actually working like right now. We wanted to do something with social media, and obviously social media marketing is just so crowded. So we chose social media contests. That's the niche. It seems like a tiny niche, or it might seem like still a big niche to you. Well, we went on YouTube and we went on Google and we researched like how competitive is it. We did settle on social media contests. So companies who run social media contests, and that's many companies, we are going to give them the right content and we're going to make my client the influencer. That's our strategy. And our strategy is something called topic clustering. So there may be existing content that has a head start, maybe has a lot of views already on YouTube. How do we beat them? Well, in Google and in YouTube, you can build authority on a topic, and by building authority, you will outrank other channels or other influencers or other content creators who maybe just have 1 or 2 videos on such a topic. So we decided we're going to create videos only on social media contests. Everything possible about social media contests, we're going to cover that, and we're not going to cover much else. And so we're going to have a lot of related content, always mentioning in different videos, social media contests and such. So we're going to grow authority inside YouTube. And that's especially good because one viewer can watch many, many videos. And obviously, the more videos they watch, the more they like our stuff, and then the more they engage further. So it might be a niche, but we're going to monetize it strongly. Here are our chosen monetization strategies. First of all, affiliate marketing. There's a lot of software for automating social media contests. We're going to promote that. And we're going to promote, for example, if some company doesn't have the time or resources or manpower to run their social media marketing contests, then my client is actually going to do that through a freelancing service. And he can do this long term. And by the way, this can turn into much more, because if they like his help in the freelancing for social media contests, he can start managing their Facebook campaigns, Twitter campaigns, and they can become his regular client. And you only need a few such clients a month to start making good income. And then obviously once this grows, you can start hiring people and so on and so on. And this can actually become a big business. The goal is to just retain these clients and have them hire you for more and more services. And of course, in our case, ongoing contests. Secondary monetization strategies will be through ads and influencer sponsorships, because the idea here is that we're going to make my clients kind of like the go-to guy, the influencer, and the most authoritative and knowledgeable person about running social media contests and corporate contests and things like that. So obviously with that comes a lot of exposure and sponsorship opportunities where brands will want to have themselves promoted on his channel. Now, how do we choose the platform? Like, why was it a blog versus YouTube versus something else like Instagram? Well, right now, blogs are just really hard to promote with SEO. You can get traffic to them, but it's just really hard to get a lot of traffic. So we chose YouTube, and we'll turn the content into blogs later. So we're not forgetting about the blogs, but YouTube is priority number 1, and it's priority number 1 to rank for all kinds of keywords like how to run contests, software for contests, and so on and so on. I'll show you that in a second. This is that actual channel, and you see it's just starting out, so we only have 5 videos on the channel, and the idea is to make like 1 video per day for the first 30 days and kind of slow down after that. We're just starting with this. There's only 23 subscribers. It's literally like 5 days old. So when I tell you we're literally just working on it, we're literally just working on it. But you see, I'll make it a little bigger, and if you look at the titles of the videos, see like giveaway rules, that's keywords, right? We're using Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Then we do contests versus giveaways versus sweepstakes. We're trying to rank for all these keywords. Then this one, how to choose the best contest giveaway prize, and more keywords. How to use contests to improve your SEO and get email subscribers. You see more and more keywords. we're basically going to end up covering all the potential keywords related to the social media contest space and eventually, hopefully, rank for all of this. So this is going to be a sustainable source of traffic. As long as these videos rank in YouTube search, they're going to continue giving him exposure, improve his personal brand, and this is going to be lead generation to help him get clients. And those clients, he basically will have to turn into long-term, high-paying clients. And if he manages to do all this, he will carve out a niche, make himself an influencer in that niche, and build a sizable business in that niche, all through this strategy. In this video, I want to give you an overview of a personal branded business, sometimes referred to as an influencer business or a thought leader business. Usually, people think that, oh, it's easy. You just get on Instagram, take some pictures of yourself, and then you can be an influencer. But actually, it's much harder than that, because to truly be an influencer and influential, you have to have built something else for which you are known. Typically, if you think of most successful people who have a self-branded business or who are influencers, sure, people travel, take pictures, or they're personal trainers and they are good looking, so it's easier for them. But that's more the exception than the rule. Most people have to actually work really hard and be successful at something else before they can become a thought leader or have a self-branded business. Usually, people have either a blog that's successful, a YouTube channel that's successful, a podcast, maybe they wrote a book that went big, maybe they had a successful business and they became a thought leader in some industry in which their business was in. Maybe they did some research and published some interesting reports about an industry. Maybe they networked with some very high-level people in the industry, but they did something that cemented them and gave them a little bit of recognition, and they didn't fake it. Because a lot of people think, oh, you just have to buy some likes on Facebook or take some shortcuts. You gain some audience, and because you have some audience, brands and people who want to advertise, they'll see your account and they'll think, oh my God, we want to get promoted by this influencer, and they're going to pay you and sponsor your posts to promote their products. It's not the case. Typically, having a self-branded business is a result of years of work to build the trust, to have an audience, and actually to gain the experience so that you can stand out in your expertise above almost everyone else in your industry. Because today we live in this world where a lot of people wake up, roll over in bed in the morning, and they say, I'm an expert because, I read the blog post about something, or because I watched a YouTube video, so now I think I know. But the truth is, most people will see through them and will see that they don't truly have the expertise. And that's why it does take years for you to build up your expertise and trust and an audience so that you gain that reputation, so that you can build that self-branded business on top of that reputation. With one little caveat: the work you do has to be highly visible. For example, obviously everybody knows Steve Jobs was the CEO of Apple. He was a highly visible CEO. He was always the one doing the press conferences and everything. But there are many successful companies who you wouldn't even know who the CEO is. It's not as public, and sure, that person is an expert, but it would be far harder for them to build a self-branded business if they wanted to, because they don't have that recognition. That's why blogs, YouTube, podcasts, books, they are self-branded because the person creating these things is so highly visible. So if it sounds difficult, it can be, but there is a good shortcut that you should take, and that is to start with a narrow niche. If you start with a wide niche, like all of business or all of cooking, you have to compete literally with the best of the best of the best in your industry, which is really hard. But if you start with a narrow niche, instead of business, you just do mobile app business. It's still a big niche, but there are far fewer experts in it. And that's the example that I did. I created some successful apps. I wrote a book about the app business. I created a course about the app business. I got to be one of the influencers in the mobile app space, which gave me an ability to sell my book, sell my course, and even have agency type clients where I help certain mobile app businesses with their marketing. But it wasn't overnight. It was all based on all the previous work. That's what gave authority and credibility to take all these next steps.
So start with a narrow niche with an eye towards next bigger and bigger steps, but a narrow niche helps you succeed faster. So that's the path to establish a self-branded business. It's difficult at first, but long term, it's a fantastic business because it's largely passive, a lifestyle business where you can work from anywhere, and a lot of people desire that. So it's a fantastic business, not to mention that it can make a lot of money, but it just takes time to build up to that. In this video, I want to talk about developing a sixth sense for future trends. And typically this comes with experience of already doing online business. The more you do online business, the more you begin noticing what's coming up in the future. And that makes a really big difference for your results, because there's all these forward-looking businesses and backward-looking businesses. And a lot of people, they focus on backward-looking business models that are already proven, because it's easy to get into established business models because somebody else probably told you about it. Like I can tell you sell on Amazon, I can tell you sell on Etsy, I can tell you start blogging, I can tell you do freelancing. But these are all things that, sure, now it still works, but if you got into them earlier, it would be much better. Because all these things, like at one point, they were fantastic. Now the main issue is that it's crowded. It's always the same problem. Like if I tell you blogging, well, it's hard to get traffic. Amazon, it's really hard to stand out because there's so many sellers. Freelancing, it's hard to stand out. Mobile apps, hard to stand out. It's always the same problem. It's crowded because these are more or less, today you'd be getting into it at like not a too late of a stage, but sort of like these things are already mature. It would have been way better to get into them when they were just starting out. For example, with the internet business in 1995, or blogging in 2004, or cryptocurrency in like 2015 or a couple of years earlier on YouTube in 2006, so that you can be one of the first YouTubers if it was in 2016, and then you'd learn how to film better and quickly, and then you'd establish yourself as the top person in some huge niche, and you'd never look back. So though that would have been fantastic, but instead of getting into YouTube in 2006, mostly if you're getting into it now, of course, you're over 10 years late. It's going to be crowded, and it's always the same problem. Crowded. A lot of people trying to make money online. How do you solve this? Well, you solve this precisely by looking at what's coming around the corner. Whatever year you watch this, you have to ask yourself, like, okay, what's popular around the corner? Of course, it's going to be easier for you to spot it if you're already doing some online business, because you're already going to be in some online communities. There's already going to be some kind of initial chatter. And if you are truly early, sometimes you're not going to know if it's going to succeed. Like when I got into Udemy, I didn't know if it was really going to be that big. It could have failed. So you have that risk. But then I rode that wave. And even though I thought it was crowded when I got into it, it's much more crowded now. So it's way harder to start now. So for me, that was an example of getting into a business at an early stage in its popularity. And so for you, from now on, as your mindset, always look for what's just coming up, what's popular, what are the kids using, what is their chatter about online, and then make time to actually get into it and start playing around with it. Most of these things will not pan out, but you just need one to pan out, and then you're going to ride that wave and face very little competition and establish yourself on a potentially huge platform from which you can make a lot of money.